Hey, I'm Nashi.
I'm Rezlar.
And I'm Frosty. Welcome back to the Value Pack.
Hold on, I have to gear check Nash right now. Alright, that is some bull chapter. Dude, he CC'd me how to dance. What's happening? Rezlar!
People look at you like you're crazy, and they refuse to admit that it's pay to win, and just scream that it's pay to convenience! It's pay to convenience!
Big money, big money, big money,
Big
money!
money!
Oh shit, we got it! We fucking got it! And welcome everybody to another episode of the Value Pack podcast. Gonna come out right out the gate and say Nyashi's not joining us today. He says he's shopping for a car. He might be lying to us and playing the New World beta. Who knows? We can't definitively prove that that's not what he's doing, is all I'll say. But that being said, we do have a guest today, so we are still going to be three-manning the show. Very excited for this guest to join us, and very thankful that he is giving us his time to talk about all the striker changes. But first, before we get to that, I got to thank our lovely patrons. Hawaiian, I Has Issues, Jeremy Johnson, Calahad, Melt on Your Mouth, Minaria, Slytech, Talus X Septum, and thanks. Appreciate you guys for supporting us, as well as all the people supporting us in our Twitch streams, which you can find in the description, all the other Patreon subscribers, and just everybody who gives us their general support. Thank you so much. So our guest today, almost certainly the most well-known striker, if not the most well-known player in the game. He's here to give us his thoughts on the striker Rework. It is Divios. Thanks for joining us, man.
Hello. It's gonna be good.
Dude,
So
Divios' background is... He's got a big background, because you don't stream, do you, Divios?
I did for a while, but it's just
Okay. And
for me.
and do you upload YouTube content?
Every now and again I'll upload something cool. I'll upload a clip or I uploaded the tournaments recently.
Okay.
But I don't.
you
It's
don't
not
make
really
montages or guides?
No, I don't really. I just every now and again I'll upload something when I feel like it. But
So give us a little bit of your background, because there's this rumor I always hear about. I've not looked into it, but you're known as the Smite World Champion. Can you talk about that and kind of clear that? What does that mean? What did you win in Smite? How good were you at Smite? And Smite, for those that don't know, is it's like the 3D third person MOBA, right?
Yeah. It's a third person MOBA. Just has all mythological characters.
Mm-hmm.
In season 5 I ended up winning with Team Splice, and it kind of just became I changed my name for a while as a meme to World Champ Divios, and it kind of stuck. It's just it kind of.
What position did you play on that team?
I played solo, which is the equivalent of top
lane. Yeah,
that's the best way to put it. Yeah.
He played goalie.
I don't know about that one.
I literally know nothing about Smite. I have not played Smite. I've watched a friend play Smite, and I don't know.
It's like League, but you play over the shoulder instead of top down. I mean, it's really very, very similar.
Did that victory award you enough money to you don't have to worry about money again for the rest of your life?
I don't know the rest of my life, but it was good for being 17 at the time.
Yeah. So, how long have you been playing Black Desert Online?
Since a couple weeks after release. I took a while off. I've taken two decent breaks for a month or two, but nothing other than that. I've been playing the whole time.
And what did you start out playing? Because Striker didn't come out until 2017, right?
I played a full DP Warrior.
Of course. Of course. Is that where you got the idea, Rezlar, back in the Hex days?
No. I just wanted to shot call in peace.
Okay, so you played full DP Warrior all the way until Striker release?
Yep, and then I played full DP Striker until a year and a half ago.
All right, what?
But it was also full DP striker that was still because it was able to kill people.
Right. So let's go back into the history of Striker, because one of the things, so everyone remembers launch Striker as like Striker was insane in the beginning.
Yep.
But if you actually played Striker, you remember those first 4 weeks were not so good. Do you remember?
Yeah. The first week was something special. Leg drop was about the AOE of like I'm trying to think. It's like the AOE of like like Celestial Spear, like the AOE of where Celestial Spear lands. It was like that AOE. It was so tiny and it was very slow, unprotected, and there was it did absolute insanity damage. Like when it even like day one, it did so much damage it made no sense. But everything except for the damage was real bad.
Yeah, I remember. I remember like the first big. So I want to say they patched it 2 weeks in a row. It was probably more than that, but 2 major times where it was like the patch notes borderline looked like these reworks. Like it was like change the connection between this, and this, improved this, sped up this, connected this does this, added this CC, they added like 3 super armors and 5 CCs. It was like so much different.
Yeah, they added like so many things, and then the last week there was one line for Striker and it was just increased magic DP, and that was an interesting patch.
Yeah.
It just because all of a sudden the class changed, and it was all of a sudden like instead of it being more of like an assassin, it was just like I am now a tank.
That was also when Renown was still a thing, right?
No,
that was way before.
Yeah, Renown was after. So the thing, it was funny at the time. I was maining Tamer, and this guy in my guild, he was pretty good at Striker. It was so frustrating fighting him because at the time clones like deleted Tamer Pet. Like it would just actually.
It would just kill them. Yeah,
it would just kill the Tamer Pet like during the neutral game, and I'm just like, what the hell, man? Like I have to like stop and respawn my pet over and over just to like fight. But I felt like I did no damage to Striker back then. Like they were super tanky.
Yeah, as soon as they added the magic DP, it was so tanky.
So Striker was pretty good in like I remember. I mean, there was a ton of like videos. They're all killed people. They're just ferocious.
So initially, they're all did nothing, but like a year after Striker came out, or like 6 months after Striker came out, when they buffed a bunch of alts.
Right,
and then they buffed Striker all by like 270%, and then it just was one-shotting everyone. Turns out when 270% was a bit much.
So what was fast forward all the way up to the CC changes, which also gave us the renown changes. But what state was Striker in like right after the CC changes came out?
It was. Well, it depends what part, because when they first did this, it depends. Are you talking about the the first CC changes, or
once all
or the
of
SA
came,
and stuns and stuff going to roof? Okay,
yeah, it was miserable for everyone that first week. But after like 3 or 4 weeks, once we got the full complete set of CC changes, like what was like the state of the Striker in like large scale 1v1 and all that stuff?
So the combos were very awkward. It might have just been because no one knew how to play it after things changed them, but I remember the combos being very strange compared to before. Because before the combo was basically you'd grab them, you do two skills, and you grab them again, and you do 2 skills, and you do the main hand grab again because it's off cooldown, and do 2 more skills. And that's when the combos became like actually something to think about. So
if I remember correctly, it went from like Strikers were like primarily in Awakening until that change, and then they started spending a lot of time in pre-Awakening for their duels.
Yeah, it's because Awakening has, like back then especially, the only thing that CC'd in Awakening after the changes was Spiral, and that's still mostly true even to now. The only like Awakening CC that you'll really get hit with is Spiral or like something in a combo.
Right. I mean, now it's just that grab. But with Renown score, Striker was tanky. Like Striker and Mystic had this really interesting era of like, do you remember that Korean Mystic that used to put up the videos? It was the Gaifen Police guy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
Oh
about.
my god, dude! Like
He's like
he,
Lewis or something. Yeah.
it's funny because his gear at the time was nuts, but like relative to now, it was like nothing. But he would go in and literally just 1v5 everybody at Gyfin. It was like insane. And Striker was like kind of similar. But what kind of changed from then? Because Strikers were pretty prominent in large scale. Was it just the renown changes that kind of made them fall off, or was it Succession release?
It was it was mainly the damage increase from Succession release combined with when they did the CC changes. Like I was saying, like before 50% leg, you were always running in and you had to spiral cannon and it was unprotected and you just had to, and you had no CC other than that. You were going in and you were just, I'm gonna shift Q behind people and then I'm gonna spiral leg, and if that doesn't work, well, I'm not doing anything anyways. Because before the CC changes, right, it had like stun on clones, leg drop knockdown, infernal was super armor and had the bound, and you basically just clones on yourself and then just rotate through a bunch of like CCs and damage in a circle, and you are super protected because if anyone came in to try to grab you or something, they get stunned by clones. So when they did all those changes, it lost a lot of CCs and it
Right.
became really hard to actually like get on a group of people.
So you continue gearing up. Your gear's kind of insane. You get core spiral cannon, which I know a lot of the core skills for a lot of people helped a lot. And then you get the new skill autumn blaze.
Yeah.
What state is Striker in currently on live server? In like if you could answer that in 3 different sections. 1v1,
Yeah.
how good do you think Striker is? Specifically Awakening, in large scale, and then just in like small scale GVGs type stuff.
Yeah, so 1v1, both Succession and Awakening are very good. The Succession, you are kind of forced into Succession against other really geared people because Awaken combo damage is good, but it's not great, and it gets hard counter. It is one of the few classes, because it's pet, it gets hard countered by DR. So if people have too much DR, you will no longer be able to kill them.
Right.
It's not about evasion, even though it doesn't have good accuracy either. It's just its damage is not that high, but its main benefit is being able to wear. It can wear DP and become quite tanky. It has quite a few bad matchups, but it definitely is still very good 1v1. Small scale, from like basically up to like 5v5 to like 7v7. That's like I think where it shines is like 2v2, 3v3.
Mhm.
That's where I feel Striker is as strong as it can be, because its E buff, in Awakening, is just crazy and can put so much pressure just by walking at someone. Like there's nothing they can do about it other than grab you. And it has a lot, like when it holds someone for like 5 seconds with its grab, it just makes it really hard to deal with in like a 3v3 type environment.
Yeah.
You get more than that, 5v5. Again, it comes to like it can E-buff and like bait for people, but it's no longer like just holding people forever. 7v7. Every time you add people after that, it becomes less and less like able to play aggressive, and it turns into more of like a budget like assassin class where it just kind of it walks around, looks for like picks,
Right.
and when it has E-buff, it goes in, but it doesn't accomplish a lot because it doesn't do a lot of like quick damage. It's all very like the skills are quite slow.
What about Succession and those small skill type stuff?
Succession and anything over 1v1 is pretty miserable. Like you can get away with it in 2v2, 3v3, especially if you're against like certain classes. But like if there's something like a hash or any class that can get behind you quick, there's nothing Succession Striker can do over 1v1. And but in 1v1 it does like 1v1 Suck Striker does like disgusting damage. It does like compared to like it does at least double Awakening on live right now. But it's so unprotected. It is a lot faster too, so like it gets its skills off way faster. Its movement is a lot less predictable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so unprotected. It can't really do any of that unless like it's similar to like it'd be like if you Awakened Ranger didn't have the bow and you're just like you have to just like like it's not. It's just like it has really unprotected combos. It can't really do much protected other than like just poke you, and
Right.
it has to play very passive.
And then large scale, all the way up through siege.
It's just basically you're wasting your time if you're playing Succession
Right.
in Siege. And Awakening is it's good for like those old flex plays. It can be good for that, especially if you get down to like those 3v3, 4v4 scenarios.
Right.
It can get very good. But it's just if you ever are with your team, you feel so helpless because most of the rats are faster than you. At this point, people do so much damage and have so much AP that even if you're crazy gear, you still die instantly if there's like 2 people on you. And like there's so many slows and range stuff going out. It's really hard to get in. Even when you
Right.
get in, it's hard to get kills because people just gain high DP now.
For 1v1, if you're playing for let's say there's $5,000 on the line, and you don't know what class you're going to be against. It's going to be any class. Which spec are you playing for 1v1? Which one do you feel is more reliable in 1v1 or better in 1v1?
It depends if is it gear capped or not gear capped.
Let's do an answer for both.
If it's gear capped, I'm playing Awakening because it means it's probably lower gear, and Awakening will be able to kill people because Awakening has better CCs. It has better like stamina. It has pretty much better everything except damage.
Right.
But Suck is better at like it has better speed, so it can deal with like those rat classes that can like go too quick for Awakening. And Suck has just unbelievable damage where it will kill someone no matter what, and you can full hybrid out and still be able to kill people no problem. So like if it's gear capped, I'd definitely just place Awakening and then Suck non-gear capped.
So what? I know there's like a lot of things. It's like a combination of slows and I mean it's like a million things. But what specifically in large scale? Because it's kind of a thing a lot of melees struggle with. But what like could you change? Not like getting into the reworks just yet, like what they did change, but just on like paper, what could you change to make Striker better, either on Striker or on other classes, if it means changing things on other classes to make it like more viable in like Siege and 60-mans?
For melees in general, I mean, I just think the fight should be more split up. Like I think there should be more I think it should be more objectives than just their base, because that's the problem is it just turns into they're 60 for 60, it's super laggy, and you're just trying to throw damage out. And if you can throw damage when you're not being in the middle of it, it's a lot better because you're not getting hit by their stuff as much.
Yeah, that's the thing. When there's like 60 plus players, I mean, Rez, you feel this too on Zerker. It's like it doesn't really, like, I don't know, it almost feels like there's nothing they could change to make that ever feel good on Melee. Like they literally just need to split up stuff and like add objectives.
I mean, that's part of why, like, ever since you brought up the idea a year ago of like lowering the size of guilds, that would in turn, reduce the amount of people that you're fighting against theoretically.
Yeah, you'd
in
fight
large
less
scale
at a time.
scenario. It would do a lot towards helping it. That's also why I really liked the change they made to Valkyrie a while back, where they gave their movement both frontal guard and super armor. Like that made a lot of sense because it allows them to more easily move around in the battlefield without just giving them straight up an iframe, right? So I think there are some things that they can do, certainly, both on a large scale and on an individual class scale. But yeah, definitely a lot of melees struggle with that problem.
Yeah, because basically it's turned into, right, where like the classes people play Melee, they're like 80% iframe, because if they're not, they're dead before they've done anything. Like that's it's what happened with like Awakened Sage, Corsair right now, Sork, like
It's also
Ninja to a lesser extent, but same like idea.
Another problem is the range damage, right?
Like-
The Suck Ranger, the Witch and Wizard, both
Mhm.
Succession and Awakening to a lesser extent, but certainly the Successions, the Archers,
Mhm.
Sage has a decent amount of range to it, not as far range as those other classes, but him as well. Same thing for Awakened Corsair. Again, it's not that it's super long range, but
Mhm.
it has some decent range capabilities, decent range options, and it's just all of this combining is making
Awakened
life
Corsair is
absolutely
pretty
miserable.
far. Awakened Corsair is pretty far in. Dude, yeah, it's a lot of it. Dark Knight,
And
let's
do they-
see, Dream of
Wait,
Doom
so-
being thrown, everything.
Do they have the ability to just like stand there and lay into you from range like a Suck Wiz or a Ranger?
They can to an extent. It's not exactly the same, but you can definitely get off like RMB, Shift LMB, and Shift
Okay.
F from range, which is gonna.
I was under the impression that they only had like a couple skills that were pretty far ranged.
No,
and
no,
then
no,
They
they
kind of have
have-
to wait for cooldowns or go up close.
It's pretty split. Like if you
Okay.
include like the pre-awakened stuff they mix in, Corsair is like 40% ranged and then 55-60% melee.
Okay. Well, there you go. Adding another
Yeah.
problem child to this issue.
Yeah.
But it's true, there's
Like-
a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of range stuff in the game.
Like the only classes that are really good melee wise, they all fit this. They're either killing you in one or two skills in SA, and they're killing you or they're killing you in one CC with like 2 to 3 skills. Like they can. There's no class that relies on a combo that does well, like consistently.
Right.
If you have to do like a full combo on someone to like, or like you have to do like a setup type of thing, it just doesn't work. You need like that one or two just like super big hitters so you can just like trade into people or get like a quick CC into like a high damage skill that kills.
So
If you don't have that, it's not really possible.
what kind of objectives would you want? Like what could they add? Because I've said the same thing, kind of like I love the idea of the way, I know it's a complete ripoff, but some variation or form of the way League of Legends does Dragons and Baron, I think would be really cool. Like just things that pop up at different times that make you decide, do I want to
like
go over and do that? Do I want to send people to that, or do I want to stay here? Something that like splits you up.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like make like a boss spawn, right? And then like a boss spawns, and when you kill this buff, you either get a buff for your guild or like you get some type of like reward that I don't know what it could be yet. That just it's worth that you want to have it basically. But you don't want to send your whole group there because then you'll lose the fight elsewhere. Like that you'll lose your base. So you send like a group out there to take it. It shouldn't be too impactful. You just win if you have it, like Spirit of Battle. But just like something that's like that you want to have and it's worth doing without being just like the main focus of the fight. Because it's a very thin line between being like, oh, that's nice to have, I hope we get that, versus we need that, bring everyone now.
Right.
So,
Exactly. What about, let's say they don't make any changes to objectives and it always kind of stays ball v ball meta. What like sweeping changes could they make to at least improve the experience from melee?
the number one thing, slows would have to be hurt really hard again.
Mhm.
Range damage would need to be lowered, but that would hurt a lot of other aspects of the game.
What
for
would
those
you
range
do to
classes.
slows if you could make changes to slows?
I just think slow. You should only be able to get hit by one slow, and it should just take into effect the biggest slow you have.
Yeah.
I think you should be able to get by one slow and like one add-on, and I also don't think there should be any skills like grave digging and devastation. They're just giant circles that slow and are and do damage and are protected.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
I mean, I agree, but the thing is too is like even if you reduce it to one slow, like I don't know specifically for Striker, but there's a lot of classes like even if Musa only gets hit by one slow, that's enough to completely make them like miserable in a fight. So like I've been talking about like
I think it should be more focused though. That's the problem. Right now, just think Guardians use anything they get it. Like a lot of these large scale abilities for like Zerkers and Warriors. Like if a Warrior's sitting there, what's he doing? He's gonna sit there. He's gonna grave dig slashing. Those are his like things like that. I just think it should be more like if you want to slow stuff, things like retardando are really good because it's like it's a single target. I'm gonna slow you type of ability. It's not just like I'm doing my rotation and it happens to slow you as well. That's my more problem with it. Like if they see a Musa come in, like I'm gonna slow him. It's like okay, that's good. But when it's just like the Musa walks in, they get hit by a lightning skill, they get hit by a guardian, and they're like, hey, I'm 80% slowed and I'm dead. It's just like there's the guys doing their rotations. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the other thing too is the range on some of them. What are you gonna say, Rez?
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just agreeing that, yeah, there's just too many slows. And I do agree to an extent about like big AoE slows as well. I wish that if you were going to have, I think slows are very undervalued in terms of their power by the company. Which is why I think you have something like Gravedigger or something like Devastation. If you're going to have like these types of skills where they are completely protected and all it does is just lay down a huge field of slow that if you get hit by even a one single tick of it, you are just absolutely beyond fucked. There has to be some sort of like I don't know. I I I I like how devastation functions. Maybe you open it up a little bit more, but there is a bit of an animation before they can actually use it. Now, what they did is because
Earth
they added the
dividing
flow.
is that's the that shouldn't slow.
With the flow now, there's like not an animation anymore. But before, I actually didn't think it was that much of a problem at all. In all honesty, because it was such a huge animation, right? The wind up on it was huge. Now, obviously, with Earth dividing, not
the
not
biggest
so much anymore.
the biggest offenders are Guardian and like Suck Wizard, where it's just like Wizard's just using any of their lightning skills and you're just 40% slowed. Same with Awakened Sage. Any of their like they have like 3 or 4 just like electrocute abilities they just throw out as part of their normal gameplay and just
on you for
like
no
hey you're
reason.
40% slow for 3 seconds. It's like it's really hard to deal with stuff like that when you're just getting like peppered by all that stacking up. People have add-ons, Guardian slow stacks, like the electrocute stacks with other slows. It's you get hit by it's just even though it's capped, it's just like it's very easy to just get to that cap, and it's hard to
the slows the passive slows have to go. I think honestly. I think
slow should be a choice. Like, I actually
absolutely.
think Divios. I would love if it was even more harsh, and that you. So you said it should just you have one slow, and then it replaces with like the highest one. Like that's the one that stays on your bar. I actually think that they should make it even more strategic than that. And if you make a mistake, you could actually put a lesser slow on someone if you're not paying attention. Like if let's say my teammate uses retardando, right, and then they have that 50% slow. And I'm just like an idiot hash that's like not realizing they already slowed him, and I go use quicksand. It literally changes it to the 20%.
Oh, I think just refresh the time with the 20%.
Yeah, make it something where you like, okay, he's already slowed. I don't want to put another one on because it's just gonna weaken it. Like, so there's actually.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way with debuffs. Like in general, like I think of like things like evasion debuffs and DR debuffs should also be, and like accuracy debuffs. I think all those things should be choices and not just part of your main skills, because like those things like hurt a lot for like people that are like tankier.
Yeah,
it's just like, and the problem isn't that it isn't the problem that one guy is doing more damage. The problem is like after they hit you with their normal rotation, everyone does more damage.
Yeah,
because I think just it should be more of like a choice in that list and just being just like on your main rotation.
So slows. I mean, range damage is tough because you're right, because you could hurt 1v1, but split, like having some form of split damage really isn't that bad. The problem with like ranger and some of the archer ones is that they split it way too harshly, that it makes it like not do anything. But split damage is like, I don't know, it makes it so it doesn't really affect your 1v1 at all, right? Where you can still, if you solo someone down, you can kill them, but in a group you're not going to be killing like a mass group of people.
Yeah, it just depends where the line on split damage is.
Yeah,
like where like because all of a sudden like technically things like sages like sage suck, like spatial collapse, like it's not ranged, but it's also like it's definitely not melee. It's kind of like it's kind of like you're close and you're hitting them, but it's not. It's like so it's kind of hard to draw the line of where like the split damage should be, and it's
I don't know.
I think
Slows would be
I
a
think
huge.
it's not an easy solution.
And
Slows
then-
would be nice though.
One I'm sure you're aware of from a million different skills, but the hit stutter is
Oh yeah.
just screws
Yeah.
melee so bad. 'Cause
Hit
it's
stutter
something-
really fucks striker really hard.
dude.
Oh yeah.
It's the thing I noticed it so much, or like, I mean, I noticed it in a lot of stuff. Tendon cutter, it feels really bad, but tendon cutter is so fast. Like sometimes you can avoid getting hit by stuff, and usually you're not in a ball. But when I was like playing Suck Corsair in Wars, like using Sea Stroll towards a group that's throwing stuff,
You just don't move.
it is so awkward how you're literally just sitting there. Just
That's,
kind of in the same place. It like feels like lag. It's like so bad.
That's actually something I was gonna say because I remember like because I know you were like very against the whole spiral gap being fixed, and the thing is the spiral gap in 1v1 I think it was mostly fair. I think that most of the time you got CC'd in spiral in 1v1 it was okay, but the problem is when you got hit by other people, you just it made the gap huge, and you just
Right.
like you always got CC'd out of it in groups. That is another thing. Like it's just funny because like it's not like you weren't going to use the bond skill in groups. It's just because even when spiral was always unprotected, you still just use spiral in groups. But it just sucks you pick this core skill and it's just like I'm still just getting CC'd every time.
Yeah. So what just from your perspective, I know every striker is a little bit different. I think this is true for a lot of classes. There's like some obvious weak matchups, but then some not so obvious ones because every player is different. For example, I think a lot of archers struggle against Sork, and back like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago when we had General Moors on, he said that that's his best matchup. What matchups for you in 1v1 if you're in battle arena are like your best and your worst?
Worst by far is just it's like it's lawn by 10 miles, and then it's like lawn is bad.
Yeah.
If Awaken Hash can kill me, it's really bad as well. Just range grabs like Awaken Sage is not terrible anymore. It feels more like a skill matchup now. Before the change of the iframe, fighting Awaken Sage was the worst thing I've ever experienced in this game.
Yeah.
I had no game plan. It was just I'm gonna just sit here and just like I'm gonna rotate and just hope I CC him, and then maybe I can kill him in 1 CC. That was like my plan. And then like to me, Ninja is like I think it's not a favorable matchup, but it's not one of the ones I don't really like. It's not one of the more like Awaken Rangers pretty bad. Archer's honestly not like if the Archer has damage, it's really hard to keep up with Archer.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's like your best
think?
matchup? Where you're like
Best matchup?
you walk into it and you're like, this poor guy.
like Awaken Mages, Sork.
What about Guardian versus Striker? How's that one?
I think it's in favor of Striker because, I mean, Suck Guardian's pretty easy. Awaken Guardian's hard to catch. It's like annoying, but Suck Guardian would more likely be able to kill me. Honestly, Musa and Mewa are not good matchups. Specifically, Suck for both of them.
For them, not for you.
It's not good for me.
Oh, it's not good for you. If you're on Succession or if they're on Succession.
If they're on Succession.
Interesting.
Well, Mewa could be either. Both Mewas, but Musa is mainly Succession that I'm scared of. Like it's just it is a really boring matchup, and it's not, and like with at least how it is, it will probably be a lot nicer with the gaps fixed, but dude, the stub arrow catches every gap. It's impossible. Like I have to play so boring. I have to sit there and mass rage hammer and just look at them for minutes until they finally come close to, and then I have to go for like a dash grab or something like that.
Who are some of the Musas or Mewas that you know that do that are like good at that?
I mean, it's hard to tell because no one plays it now. Because like I used to really hate it dealing with that, but there's not very many anymore that I fought recently.
Yeah. They're all playing New World now.
For the last, but like yeah, I used to fight them all the time, and it was always not very fun to deal with. It's just like no matter what, I know what the matchup's gonna be. Them dashing around, and I'm standing there because every time I do like aggressive play, I'm risking just getting stub arrowed or dragon bite. And it's really hard to deal with.
What about Dark Knight?
I don't think Dark Knight. All right, so Dark Knight, it's not a hard matchup, but it's not an easy one. It's like it's definitely in Striker's favor, but it's an annoying one.
Right. So during the tournament, this last tournament, you ended up in a 1v1 with Flannels and a 1v1 with Quicksore.
Yeah.
In the finals. What makes the Striker versus Ranger matchup difficult? And then separately, what makes Striker versus Flannels difficult?
Like a Striker versus Rangers, their grab comes out so quick, and they have like the little ranged, like them having just like the range option makes me have to play differently, because again it has the little like Musa Mewa effect, where it's just I can get just randomly ticked if I'm doing something weird, even at like decent range. And then like like Flannels is just crazy, and he's really good at rotating. It's like I don't think it's like a terrible matchup, but it's definitely not good. It's like even just normal Awakened Ranger, it's not like I've had problems like just fighting like other Awakened Rangers. Like I fought like I remember just fighting like Persona when he was in Snake, and it was not fun. It's like I can win, but every time I catch them, it honestly feels like, and people are gonna hate this me saying it. It felt just like how Awakened Sage did, where whenever I CC them, it's random. Like it was, I felt like it was barely up to me when I CC them.
Yeah,
it still is like that. It's feel like ever since I was saying, but before CC changes, it was great, because I remember all I do is I just keep, every time Ferocious is up, I'd linger it for 3 seconds, and if they ever came near me, I'd drop clones, so they have to just back up, or if they CC me, if they grab me, they get stunned.
Yeah, the old shift Q.
Yeah, that was, but like, yeah, Awakened Ranger's just like it's a weird one. Zerker's a lot of fun. It's like I do think it's like I think it's like a skill matchup, but I think it's slightly in Zerker favor, like 45-55 type thing. Like it feels like it's like a little not fun, like a little unfair, but like it doesn't feel like it's bad. It just feels like it's like that's kind of like when you get caught, it's kind of like that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, what happened in that matchup? Because I was really excited to watch that one, because I think that one is like, it's one of those matchups where you're like, you have to really be thinking about your iframes and when you use them, and it just looked like you ran them down, and that was it. It was like,
well, it's just I popped debuff, and people are like, in general, people don't know how to deal with Wolf's Hunger.
Yeah.
And like I did the same thing when I fought Derm. I was actually really worried for that fight, because Sork and AoE can time out anyone they want. It doesn't matter what class you are, or what you're doing. You can just get timed out. And I was scared that was gonna happen. But yeah, it's just like the little max range crouching wolf, or not crouching wolf, max range Wolf's Hunger. It is deceptively far how far it can TP.
Rez, do you agree with that matchup being slightly favored towards Zerker?
Absolutely not. I think exactly the opposite in terms of, I think it is a skill matchup, like for sure.
Right, it's close.
Very, very even. But I would give Striker the slight edge, just because 9 times out of 10, I feel like that matchup comes down to a grab fest, and Striker has more iframes to dodge grabs more appropriately.
The problem is, well, for the Striker POV, it's like to me, Zerker feels the same as Mystic, where it's just like it's like an even matchup, but then they also have a slow, which can ruin me. That's where like it's like
definitely
if a Zerker or Mystic slow me, it gets
slow.
Yeah, like the ground, Earth Dividing and ground and Devastation are like the that's where it makes it unfair. Before that, like when we're both playing neutral, neither of us are slowed, it's even. But then like I feel like they have like the second condition of getting a slow on me versus just getting like the CC.
Well, that's why the Suck Striker change is going to be busted due to that slow on Rage Hammer.
Yeah, I would agree with that, though. The slow on to the Striker is like really key to winning that fight. If you get a slow on them, it doesn't guarantee you the win, but pretty damn near, because I mean, slows are brutal on everybody, but speaking as someone who's played both Zerker and Striker, I feel like slows affect those two classes a lot more than a lot of other classes.
Yeah, it's just because of like it just when you get hit by slow, it just increases the gaps and just gives you more time to catch them. So like they have to play like if I ever get hit by like a slow like that, I just have to sit there and try to linger SA. And if you run at me, I have to iframe. And like
Yeah.
it's like I can go for a grab too. And if I get a grab, I'll win, right? Because I'll just grab you until the slow's gone. But I gain the grab. You like Berserkers win the grab trade if I'm slowed really easily.
Right.
And shake off grab is a scary, scary thing. It is so fast.
I don't mean to go down the whole list, but what about against Warrior? Striker versus Warrior.
Warrior, I think it's in Striker's favor slightly. I think just because generally, I mean, it depends on I guess on the Warrior, but I think it's very hard for Warrior to one combo Striker in most situations, even gear.
Yeah.
Like it's Warrior's damage is not high. Their accuracy is good, but their base damage is not that high. Like if a Warrior can one combo you, it's definitely in the Warrior's favor though. But if it comes down to like we both don't always one combo, I think it's in Striker's favor. And obviously if he can't one combo and I can, then it's even more in my favor.
All right. So despite them announcing that they were going to do everything in character, I do have to specify. This is why I'm the White Knight on the show, because I see a lot of people are really pissed off that they didn't keep their word and go in character order, but they did say that it's subject to change at any time, and that they're going to try to do character order, but it's not always going to be that way. So I think a lot of us were expecting Sork or Zerker this week, and then a lot of people, there was some weird data mine on Global Labs, and everyone thought it was going to be Archer and Mystic, but it was Striker, which I think surprised everybody.
Yep.
And let's get into these. I don't know where we should begin, but maybe with let's start with Awakening, and let's talk about I guess this affects Awakening and Suck because of the Nimbus
pull up
strike.
the patch notes.
Yeah, but let's first start with the your initial overall impression of what you've seen, just like a general sense of like, are you excited for this, not excited, and is this good or bad? And yeah, let's start there.
So for Awakening, I think the changes overall are really good, fixing the gaps and that are nice. There's two things right now I really don't like, but which is I don't like having like a little dash back after failing grab, and I don't like each shard giving a triple dash in Awakening because it doesn't give that in Suck.
Right.
Those are like the two changes I really don't think make sense, and I think that's just a principle I have in general. I don't like grabs being. I don't think it should be just free to just throw it out and get out of it.
Right.
Like Awaken Sage grab is like that as well, and I really don't like that.
So with the flash thing, is it just because the thing is, like, on one hand, if you have full shards, it's a lot of movement, but how often do you typically have full shards in PvP? Is it pretty common?
In Awakening, you barely ever have any shards right now on live, unless you're doing a combo on someone. Not even like doing like a large scale combo, like doing an actual like 1v1 combo to get. That's like the only way you normally get shards right now in Awakening. And then, but on Global Lab, the new Landbuster skill, I think it's called like Vengeful Roar or something now. I have to go find it.
Did they give it a name?
They did. I was reading it earlier. I can't find it.
The Avatar's Cry?
Avatar's Cry, that's what it is. Yeah.
That's the it's probably going to be called something else when we get it, though.
That's like the name of it right now. But yeah, whatever. That skill gives 20 shards. So it is very, very good at helping out that.
So do you just think it's too much movement, or you think it's what don't you like about the double flash?
I mean, the main thing I just don't like is that it's only an Awakening. But I do think it is kind of dumb. I think having 3 dashes for 200 stamina is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of nuts.
The thing is, it more just like looks dumb. It's not that practical. but it would definitely like there will be situations where a striker just has 3 shards and he just straight sprints off the screen to get away from you. You're like, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing that I'm confused about as well. It's not even going to help their large scale because of hit stutter and the fact that it's just super armor the whole time. Other than that very
Yeah.
first one, they're just gonna get hit stuttered, slowed, and then die.
Yeah,
Like,
you're only going to use it to get away. Because if you're going into
Yeah.
people, you're gonna just get hit. The
Yeah.
one thing is really nice on that though is the evasion buff. Oh my, that is the nice.
Yeah.
That is one of the nicest quality of life things ever.
So they added the evasion
just
buff.
the buff on it because it's sitting there just kicking before every engage. Just kind of guess when the engage is gonna happen. Is so annoying. You're literally just sitting there, side left click, and then swap to awakening and S block, and then swap back to main hand, S left click, swap to awakening and S block, and you're just waiting for the engage to start. Just keep on evasion buffing yourself. Now you'll just whenever the engage happens, you'll dash in and you'll have it.
Yeah. So they added the 9% evasion buff to double flash. Do you have to use both?
Yeah, you need to. It's the third dash that
It's
gives
the
it.
third dash that gives it. Okay. Yeah, that is really nice.
Actually,
'Cause
well, maybe it will be at the end of the second dash. Let me see. I'm on global. Let me see.
yeah, because on like that's one of the things that feels a lot better.
Oh,
on,
it's the second dash. Second dash does it
okay.
too. Just as long as you activate double flash at all, it gets it.
On Awaken and Suck Hash, it feels really nice that you basically just always have it because you get it whenever you move. So last week we had Biceptimus and Flannels, and it was kind of cool because they were the tournament winners. So they were part of the ART program, which you're a tournament winner, and you're part of the ART program. How much of the stuff in these changes are things that you were asking for? Like, how much on here are you like, oh shit, like they actually did?
Apart from the new skills, it was pretty much like, I mean, the idea of it as a whole was what I wanted, but then like they added extra things, and they had like they fixed all the things the specific things I wanted, and then they did it like sometimes they did it different ways, because like both Awakening and Succession had a stamina problem, and I was saying is just make Crouching Wolf, because Crouching Wolf is just like 400 stamina for like a little tiny backstep that goes like 2 feet.
Right.
And I was thinking that should be reduced because like this, I feel like the flash step was like, okay, it's a lot of stamina, but it's like a movement skill. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But 400 stamina for a little tiny hop, I was just saying reduce that. But like reducing the dash, it does the same thing because they remove 200 stamina from whenever you do a triple dash, but it's just on a better skill now. So it's just they just did like a better version of it.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the main things we're just looking at was it needed I mainly wanted clone scaling. I don't know about just doubling clone damage and nothing else, but I didn't think there was a note in there that they aren't done with it and they want to do something with clones. I was reading something like that. Yeah, they're saying we're considering changes in various ways to improve the way pets attack.
Okay. So and they didn't really change all the clone damage, right? They just changed Shift Q.
Yeah.
Is the clone damage different on any other skill?
I think it's the same. Yeah, Bite Off's the same.
Right. Yeah,
they just doubled Shift Q. But Shift Q was like Shift Q and WF are like the two main clones. Like WF didn't get that increase, but WF got increased from 3 hits to 11 hits, so it got over tripled the damage. So
yeah. So so overall the damage is much better, right?
It's like I think that the damage is very, very high now, and it has SA trading potential. I do think the rampaging change is a bit much though, because if you have like 297 AP, you actually just kill someone with WF twice.
Right. Is that just because they didn't reduce its damage at all, like with the PvP reduction?
No. So what happened is it had 3 hits before, and it had 5 in PvE.
Right.
So they removed the hit reduction. So now it has 5 hits. So that's like a 66% increase. But then when they add another one, the other one has 6 hits. So it went from 3 hits to 5 hits and then 6 hits on the other one. And they are both very fast.
Right. So basically, Rampaging Predator also, like, they increased the attack range of it to be unified with the widest part of the skill. And they also are allowing you to use the flow after you've used a different ability. So you can start off with Rampaging Predator and then use anything you want and then use Flow Bite Off after, which that is new, right? You had to use it back-to-back before?
Yeah, you had to use it back to back,
Correct.
and it was staying, and you'd stay in place.
And you'd stay in place. And this one,
Yeah,
like...
you
and
wouldn't
it
move
locked you.
forward
It
a
locked you.
second time.
It locked you in the roar as well.
Right. And then, let's see. Let's go over some of these. So the double flash thing got changed from... it's basically baked into Flash, and whether you're using Flash Step or a Shard Flash Step, where you just get 2 additional dashes. Let's see, Ferocious Assault, that one actually didn't change much. So Spiral is like one of the big ones. So they removed the gap at the end of Spiral, but they also added an extension.
They combined the first hit of Endless Fight with it.
Yeah, so
which,
when you hold
gives
LMB,
it an extra little like
a little scoot.
jump, a little scoot forward, yeah.
So, and then they removed the gap from Nimbus Strike.
Yeah, that Nimbus wasn't even one I was thinking of, because to me that's always been like the skill. It's like I'm using this and I'm gonna get like that. To me, like I'm just so used to that being like the skill. It's like if I use this, I could get CC'd, whatever though. But Spiral was like the one that was annoying. But them to end it to that as well, just being able to throw that out and actually not be like scared of something like that. It's gonna take a lot of getting used to, but it's gonna be so good. Especially with the range increase they did a couple months back.
And then they changed Crouching Wolf, where if you consume 30 shards on Crouching Wolf, the 20% attack speed buff lasts for 20 seconds. Which is pretty big. Does the 10% last for 20 seconds, or is that one still 10?
It's still 10.
That one's still 10, okay.
It's kind of annoying right now. There's a bug on global where you can't use crouching from hotbar and get your shards at all.
Right.
So I think they need to just do the same thing that Succession has with that, and then it'll be a good. But it's because it's bugged on Succession too. Right now it's just like hotbar crouching just doesn't work. But that's just a bug from changes probably. It'll be fixed probably.
Bloody Fang. They added a few extra, so that's like the passive that allows you to...
That's a crazy change.
They changed the crit probability. Did it give crit? It gave 10% before, right?
No, it gave 5% after you Crimson Fang someone.
Yeah, so now it gives 30% after basically
any skill
ability.
that uses shards. Yeah,
any skill that uses shards. And 30% critical hit rate is huge. I mean, if you have a skill...
For Awakening... It only affects a couple skills too big, but for Succession, it's like, what the heck? Like it's crazy increase in Succession.
Right.
Because Succession skills are all 0% with really high modifiers, except for Adamantine.
Dude, 30% crit's so big. And then what was the other? Okay, so let's talk about some of the new skills. So they Flow Bite Off is one of the big separations, but the other one is Skullhammer. Now the flow is built into, we'll just call it leg drop because that's what everyone knows it as, but the flow to leg drop that gave it the additional damage is now just baked into the skill. It used to be a separate cooldown, I believe 13 seconds, right? The flow? Is it a 13 second?
I think it's down to 11 now.
11.
It was 15 and then it was 13 and I think it's 11 now.
Okay, so now that cooldown's just gone. It's just baked into the skill. So whenever you leg drop, you're always getting the full leg drop with the flow. And then they took the flow and made that its own independent ability with its own damage modifiers and its own key combination. So you can cast it either from, I believe, from the hotbar and from SF.
You cannot hotbar that one.
Oh, you can't hotbar that one? Okay.
But yeah, it's SF and Awakening.
And I mean, it's kind of like the same AoE as leg drop. It doesn't quite do as much damage, but it has an evasion debuff and spawns a clone.
And it uses shards.
And it uses shards.
And it has air attack.
And it has
which
air
is
attack.
Which actually brings me to one of the nice really like one of those ones that you don't really think of when you read it, but it's so big. Endless Explosion change where they made the first hit float.
Mm-hmm.
So that ability, it does a lot of clone damage. It does not hit very hard, and it definitely hits a lot less than anything else you could do. Like there are a lot of other things you could do. So and it floated at the end, so you had to do the full thing to get the float. So people never used it for the float. They always used it as like a finisher or not at all.
Right.
And so what the change does, it makes it first hit. It makes it all the hits at air attack. So like if you do go for 2 or 3 hits, they will all get the air attack, which will increase the damage that itself does quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But just using the first hit is so fast. It reminds me like a ninja Sork CC where it's like it's technically unprotected, but you can go shift right click down F very fast and you do a quick unprotected float into the air attack with the new skill, the down F. And it flows really well together and it's a really good like because Awakening just like I said earlier, Awakening CC it was very limited before. It adds a much needed CC.
And what's the name of the F skill?
The normal one or
the normal
The
one.
break dance.
Infernal Destruction.
So
That's
Infernal
break dancing.
and Infernal Destruction is the other one. So the flow kind of got added into Infernal Destruction, so you can basically just kick
That is
twice.
a crazy PV buff.
And the cooldown's been lowered. Right?
Mhm.
What was it before?
It was 15 seconds.
And now it's 6, right? Is it 6?
I think it's 7, but I think they said it's supposed to be 10 on the patch notes.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, it's.
It was like bugged. And then
Oh, wait, no, yeah, it's supposed to be 10.
yeah, and then the land. So then they made the flow to that kind of its own ability that you can either use to flow off of that skill, or you can use it independent. And that one you can use from the hotbar.
Yeah, you can just use it straight from hotbar. It's
And
really good.
yeah, that one's really nuts because you have super armor for the whole skill. It recovers 50 HP per hit, does decent damage, and I don't know. It's AoE is kind of cracked too.
you can iframe out of it whenever you need.
Yeah.
Not with the backstep because that's not very good, but with the if you do like a dash to the side or back or yeah.
So I don't know how what are like some of the situations you'd use this in like PvP, this Landbuster skill?
It'd be a really good like finisher. He also works really good at trading, especially with non-grab classes. And I was just using it as like a SA skill when I was fighting this DK in global. Just
Mhm.
like I just use it as like just to because then instead of having to linger and it's like a main hand skill, it's just like it's only for like the 1 CC hit then standing there. It's like I can if he comes in to try to trade, I can just drop an SA damage skill on him. As well, it's gonna be very good at finishing off kills. Like you get this. I could definitely see something simple, just as like you get a CC in group, you leg, and then you just use that. But that was one thing with the CC like changes and stuff that really got removed. Is Awakened Striker would always do leg drop and then they'd spin, and the spin is what would clean up the kill normally.
Right.
But when they did the CC changes, they gave it bound on the last hit and unprotected.
Right.
So it just was like, okay, well, I'm just not using that unless it's like. And the thing is, you still do sometimes use it. You just use it expecting like I'm probably gonna get CC'd here, but if I finish off the kill or two, it'll get me, whatever.
Right.
So like having that like finisher will really help it out a lot, more than people think.
And then they added super armor on success. I have to be clear about that. So your Awaken grab now has super armor on success, not on the attempt. But if you do land the Awaken grab, the grab that most people kind of know it as the drag grab, but there's other ways to use it, obviously. That grab now is fully SA'd during the animation of the succeeded grab. Does this mean you're going to be using this in large scale more?
It means I'll unlock it, and actually no, I won't unlock it. I'll put it on my hotbar. I'll keep it locked because it still ruins a lot of things. But the thing is now, there's a lot more there's a lot more options because of the new skills to get like quick damage and then still get something off it. It'll take more time to like, really know. But like the main reason why like on live I have it locked, if I grab someone with main hand with Awaken grab, if they have any DP, I'm not killing them. It's not possible. Like I have to like if I do like grab and then I go for a spiral. If I don't get the KD, I'm doing 0 damage. If I get the KD, I'm still not. Unless they're low DP, I'm not going to be able to do a lot either. It's like I'll get some damage, but I definitely won't kill.
Why?
So like
Why is that?
It really ruins the spiral catch Like if you get a catch with Spiral, it makes that combo really bad because you have to C-swap the main hand instead of using your highest damage skills.
Right. Let's see, what are some of these other major changes? Is anything gonna? So they increased the DP debuff on Spiral Cannon and Ultimate Crush. They kind of changed Ultimate Crush's damage.
Yeah, they just made all the DP debuffs be 20 instead of, because the problem is pretty much all Strikers combos. Like the best combo always started with using Crimson Fang Death Strike.
Right.
Which is like it was like a little 2-part hit that it would give you the Bloody Fang and it would give you the crit buff, and it would give you like a nice tier 2 add-on that was pretty easy to start out with.
Is Ultimate Crush usable after these changes? So they changed the DP, made it smoother, and you recover Fighting Spirit now, and they reduced the stamina consumption?
It's still worthless in PvP.
Okay.
But in PvE, it was already good in PvE, and because of the crit buff now, it's gonna do very good in PvE. And it's just a really good starter for like the just gain your buffs up, get debuffs down, and just throwing out like solid damage.
How impactful is this new 9% evasion debuff on the flow to Skullhammer?
I mean, it's basically like the full 9% you'll get. I don't feel like there's many people I need evasion debuffs for because so many people are DR right now. But against those people, it will help a lot because Striker has no evasion debuff they can really use in a combo.
Right.
But that's gonna be good.
Is evasion dead? I know a lot of people from seeing the warrior changes and the ranger, how their tree kind of buffs party members. Warrior got accuracy and an evasion debuff, and then now they're adding an evasion debuff to striker. Are you concerned at all that evasion's like being weakened over time?
It's definitely been weakened over time. It's still gonna be the only option to be tanky. There's certain people in the game. It doesn't matter. Like even if I'm fighting someone that's like 310 AP with full accuracy accessories, it's like I'm not gonna go DR. That's not gonna help me either. So it's like I may as well be evasion for everyone else in the game, and then just be like, okay, well that guy can kill me. Like it makes it weaker. But like before, like if you go back like a year, if you go back like right before Succession,
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that killed me was Awakened Maywas, and e-buffed Awakened Witches with like crazy gear. Like that was the only thing that's possible. There was no accuracy accessories. There was no evasion debuff add-ons. There's no DR debuff add-ons. And what a lot of people don't see with that, the DR debuff add-ons hurts evasion more than DR as well. So like the evasion and DR add-on debuffs, like those are like the biggest nerfs to evasion in a long time. Basically gave everyone in like a 5-6% debuff. It's really good.
Do you think if you're a striker, you 100% should be evasion no matter what?
As long as you're, I do think with the new change, there is a world where strikers could be full AP. But I think even if you're full AP, you should just be evasion. And like if you want to be full AP, just put on a Nuver and you'll be squishy. But you're not going to be tanky with DR anyway.
Right.
So I think you just play striker. You go evasion. If you can, there can be situations with the new skills that you can just wear full AP and nuke people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was fighting people yesterday, it was the first time I've ever dealt damage to another striker or warrior that wasn't in a combo. I had a fight where I was against another 410 DP warrior. I did half his health like real quick in SA, and just like wow, I traded with someone. That's crazy. Because if you do that any other situation, you're like, well, I just wasted leg cooldown. I'm not doing anything, even if I do catch him now.
Are you worried at all that with some of these evasion debuffs and accuracy buffs that players are not even like similar to Awaken Sage? Like players aren't even going to need accuracy accessories.
You won't. It's completely irrelevant. Because how it is right now, right? Even now, like the classes that have good accuracy buffs, they don't need any accuracy accessories. It makes no sense to do that because there's already not that many people are evasion, and the people that are, like, there's like the only class you'll deal with is Striker, Mystic, and sometimes Hash. There you're like, wow, I'm missing a lot. I need more accuracy. Those are the only situations, and that's on classes like if you're. But the thing is, like classes that don't have accuracy, those classes, even when they have like 4 or 5 accessories, all that does is bring them to like a level where they're now hitting you at a rate that everyone else is hitting you because it's just I do think it's really unbalanced right now. Where like some classes have just like, what the heck is that accuracy, and then other ones are like, yeah, I got none. Because like I
Yeah.
mean, like striker clones obviously have 50%, but like when you think about it in a combo, what I'm doing, I'm getting add-ons, which is everyone has, which is 8% or like 4% accuracy, 4% debuff, and then I have a 6% buff, and I have no debuff, and then I'm like okay, so like when I have that, I'm like okay, I'm missing on like high evasion people, but it's not like I'm not doing anything. But then on Suck Sage, which is like my tag, I'm just like, I have so much accuracy. I don't even need Vipers. I don't need accuracy or evasion debuffs add-ons. I have 36% accuracy plus like 10% passive and like 15% every skill. Hell yeah, that's all I'm gonna need.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just like, it's really weird because they definitely undervalue how much those give compared to like accessories.
Yeah. What about me? I mean, Meef runs evasion. He's super tanking. The Lon. He was in the. Or you don't think Lon works well with evasion?
He's not tanky against any 2021 class or like class that has like that type of damage.
Yeah. I don't know. So I'm kind of. This is a little bit of a tangent, but I'm kind of curious. Are there any classes that you feel like absolutely should not run evasion?
Like I don't think Novas, Zerkers, Valks really. I think there's like a situation where warriors can, especially in Suck, but it's like very rare if you don't do it on warrior. Guardian again. Like, I think there's situations you could do it because they have a lot of utility just from staying alive. But it's like with these, it depends. Like if these changes go through, it's gonna turn it to where it's only the evasion classes. Because I honestly I do feel the same about evasion on like Nova and stuff like that as I do like DR when you're like DR on a ninja. Oh my, how squishy you are that's something. Like when I hit those DR ninjas, it just feels like they're like 330 DP, even if they're C20. It's just like they have really bad base DR, no DR buffs. It's the same thing as like when you're evasion, you don't have it. The only difference is with evasion is that you can't be full DR and still evade, with the current gear people have. But you can be evasion and still have DR buffs that help you make you tankier.
Right.
That's something people really undervalue as evasion is DR buffs.
All right, let's talk. Well, before we get to succession, let's talk about this Echo Spirit damage. What is this? What am I looking at here? Why did it go from 617 times 16 to 1228 times 16?
I'm not sure about that. Yeah, like so clones on live are already like it's super like polar depending on what your DR is. Like once you get basically when you're below like 350 DP, clones just instantly evaporate you. They just do 4,000 damage by themselves as long as they have a crit buff, and you just die. And you're like, well, that's not cool. They just one-shot me with a skill they're not even attacking me for.
Mm-hmm.
But then as soon as you get above that, clones drop off a cliff, and they all of a sudden start doing, like if I hit someone else that's similar to my gear, it'll do like maybe 200-300 damage. It has 50% accuracy, so it's not missing. It's just, it does very low base damage once your DR starts to beat it. And it's really weird because when you're playing like when I was playing the seasonal tournament, it's like I was playing a different class because all of a sudden I had 3 new abilities that I just never used because they're all clone damage.
Right.
And it's like, wait, when we get a CC, I'm just gonna drop clones on him, and that's gonna be like our damage. It's so weird, just how different everything is when the clones.
So,
yeah.
but another thing before I get to succession, can you put this to rest? Because there's still a lot of people that their information about Striker is so outdated. This happens with a lot of classes when things change, especially after May 26th. For example, Tamer. Tamer is not the worst grinder anymore, by far. It's like actually so far from the bottom now. Like Succession Tamer is one of the better grinders in the game. and Awakening
quite
is
good.
pretty average to above average. You could argue it's not super good at orcs because they're AoE size, but everywhere else in the game, like Bloody, Secrea, like Elune stuff, they do a ton of damage. But right now, it's like you still, not only do you see people that think that Succession Striker is better than Awakening, but you still see people that think Succession Striker is better than Lawn. So, how good is Awakening Striker compared to Succession Striker at endgame spots? And how good is it compared to some of the other grind classes that are good?
So right now, Awakening Striker in every Elvia spot is just better because Succession has really big problems with AoE size, and when you get a weapon, it has a really rough time, like hitting everything. Like even though it does a lot of damage, just being able to hit everything in Succession is not that good at. Succession Striker is still, like, in my opinion, at worst, second place. Like, it might only be behind Awaken Lawn as single target damage. Like, when you're doing things like golems or bosses and stuff like that, where you're sitting there just DPSing something in the back nonstop. Like its DPS is crazy because it has no cooldowns.
Yeah.
But whenever you're doing like AoE stuff, it has a really hard time hitting everything. It's like it does a ton of damage to those things it's hitting, but there's never a point where it can hit everything. And then when you start gaining things like weapons, I do think like at Sakraya, it's super comfy now. It's still one of the better classes at Sakraya. But it's not just like, it's nowhere near the best. And my Succession Sage even after the nerf, does way better there.
Yeah. Then Suck Striker.
Yeah.
I mean, Lawn is king, right? Still? Or
yeah.
I think
in Elvia, I think Awaken, Nova, and Sage are up there though.
Yeah. I mean, recently the guy has a lot of gear, so I guess take it with a grain of salt. He's like 309 with a Pen Black Star, but there was a Zerker that got like 7.8k in Secrea, which is pretty up there. And they have decent AoEs as well, so they probably pop off in Elvia. So after these changes, though, for Awakening, like how much better in PvE is Awakening Striker going to be if this comes as is? So
Succession first got like the 30% crit buff. That's a big PvE show, as well as the attack speed always being up.
Mm-hmm.
Though Succession didn't have really a big problem keeping it up, but it's that like it always been 20 seconds. You always have it no matter what. And but the 30% crit is gonna make Succession Striker single target even crazier. So like again, we go things of bosses, and it'll be even crazier. But Awakening changes, like it's crazy because the problem with Awakening, right, for the longest time was it always relied on Skullhammer and Landbuster, like those two flows.
Right.
It relied on those for PvE, where it's like, how it worked the longest time is you run in, you'd drop your skills, and it had crazy good burst. It always has. And it would drop a leg, it would spin, it would drop a couple other skills. You'd kill the pack with like 3 skills, and just because you had the flows. But then the next pack, you'd have none of those flows up because they're 15-second cooldowns, and you just try to piece something together and not do a ton of damage, and you'd either kill the pack quite slow, or you just wait till the cooldowns came up and you'd use at least one of them again. And that was the problem for the longest time. Now, Leg Drop and Landbuster being 7 and 6 cooldowns, having them both like combined, it's gonna make that alone makes the PvE better. And then the new skills, including the new rampaging, hit like trucks, clone damage. The shift Q, it did like no damage before, so I don't expect it to do a lot now in PvE. But it will do more than it did before, for sure. And then the AoE size, because of like, especially with like the what's called Avatar's Cry or whatever, and the crit buff and Awakening as well, it makes things like Ultimate Crush, which is already a good skill, do more. Spiral has no CC or no crit rate, it makes that do more. Like Infernal only has 50. Like it basically brings everything up to 100, as well as reducing all of the cooldowns. It's gonna be crazy PvE. Like honestly, unless they're buffing every class PvE, it's gonna be like too good in my opinion. Because Awaken is already quite good in my opinion in most Elvia spots.
Yeah. Is that good? There's still. I saw someone say Luna sent this quote to me, which is super funny. Quote: So they're gonna rework the older classes. Sorry. The with the striker thing, it was like, yeah, looks like Awakening striker is finally gonna be good at grinding. Maybe it won't be one of the worst anymore. It's so crazy because like I'm like, dude, but like Divios and Hunter both have said that Awakening is better at all these spots. I don't know why anyone thinks that they're bad anymore.
It's funny because Awakening and Elvia, it's better and it's way less like inputs. It's way less sweaty.
Yeah, it's more chill.
It's super chill to play Awakening grinding.
All
it
right.
used to be really sweaty because you when you're doing those fillers, you're doing all this main hand garbage, trying to just do any damage while you're waiting for cooldowns. But, yeah, it's good now.
So let's talk about Succession. So what are some of the highlights? I didn't dive as deep into Succession. What are some of the highlights of the Succession changes? Like, what were some of the overall really cool things for Succession that they got? Like, what's new in the Succession Striker kit?
Am I crazy, or do the movement skills for Succession take you so much further?
Yeah, the Wolf's Hunger change, it basically changes how the skill is played. I mean, in groups it's the same, but obviously you're not playing Suck Striker for groups. But in 1v1, you use that like quick teleport stun as a really like a weird mix-up where you're like, oh, I didn't expect that teleport type of thing. But now it's just a full safe ability. You can just use it whenever as just like, I just need to move over here. Let me do this and just throw it out. It being fully protected helps that a lot. One of the biggest changes that I'm so happy for, the Savage Fang change, where they removed Air Smash. Because ever since they added the auto discharge on skills, where it basically adds a second hit. So what happens is that ability has knockdown and Air Smash. So what happened is you'd use that skill, it would knock down and then instantly Air Smash, and then they just instantly send up. So Suck Striker had to resort to using Sweeping Kick, which is like a 2-second animation for the knockdown, and there's no way to cancel out of in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So you're forced into using that as your only real KD. It does no damage. There's no protection. You had to use that because there's your only knockdown. So now it brings back Savage Fang, which is very good. It also Savage Fang pops the crit buff with Bloody Fang now, which means it's gonna be by far the main CC. And because it's so fast, even if it doesn't knock down, there will be things you can do to recover and go for like a float afterwards if it fails. Where if Sweeping Kick got resisted, you just sat there and kept doing Sweeping Kick as they stood up and killed you. And the change is gonna be really, really nice. That's my favorite change overall.
So how exactly does the new Wolf's Fang work?
Wolf's Fang pretty much works the same. They changed the Rabomb, and they made their Rabomb a lot better. The one thing they did do for both the Rabomb and that skill though, is they made their range better and more they increased the range by probably like 10-15 feet, and they made the Wolf's Explosive Fang, the Rabomb, way faster,
right?
And like half the cooldown. So now Wolf's Explosive Fangs is technically an option. You could do as like a really mix up in you'd be like, whoa, what the heck was that type of thing? Or just they throw a range stun at you because you're not expecting anything range from a striker.
Yeah, and they also have like, it says the effect of reducing the number of hits when immediately activated instead of releasing the spirit has been removed. So does that mean whether you instant cast or you just sit there and charge, it's always the same damage?
Yeah, so basically even if you charge, it's the same damage now. And I'm not exactly sure because I think they haven't updated all the tooltips yet. Because like a lot of the tooltips for like Land Buster and stuff aren't done, and I don't think some of these are done either because it still has like the prey hunt stuff.
Yeah,
and it's kind of strange.
But you can also use that weird like S disengage now too after Wolf's Fang, right? Because I know in their little video demo, I don't know.
You could do that before.
Could you go that far? I don't remember going that. Is that not new at all?
Maybe it goes a bit farther. They might have increased the distance slightly, but you could always do the back step.
Right.
They might have made it like the new grab fail range though. I haven't played Succession a ton. I've been trying to just like figure out Awakening because the Succession combos are pretty much they don't change a lot. It's just like the only difference is now you have your knockdown back that you lost a while ago.
So you could always do a backstep iframe after Wolfsfang?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
That was one of the main reasons I wanted the Crouching Wolf stamina reduced. Is
Right.
because when you use that it counts like that. It's not really Crouching Wolf. It's just like that backstep in general just costs 400 stamina for on a bunch of skills.
Yeah.
But and yeah, it's just like you could like spam it. One thing they did technically nerf on Succession is Wolf Fang when you instacast it, it always had frontal, even on cooldown. So
okay.
you would just sit there and just spam it at people to get like debuffs and add-ons on people.
How much more viable is Succession going to be in large scale, if at all?
So if you put it in the game now, it would be better, but still worse than Awakening now. Let's put it that way. So Awakening is like it's like you could play it and it can play the game, but it's not gonna be like, wow, that's Succession or Awakened Striker is really popping off. Like it's like, but like those changes, like especially because they added they did the same rampaging change as well, and they buffed leg drop a bit where they made it 100% crit. Where before I think it might have had either at 50 or 0. I think it was 50. Oh, it says here, it's 50 in PvP. So yeah, they made it 100 in PvP now, and that'll be increased. And then Rage Hammer, we've got a huge buff, and it's honestly, I feel like the damage on that is like bugged how high it is, but I think it's just because of all the crit rate.
Yeah, maybe. What, Rage Hammer 0, or what is the crit on Rage Hammer in PvP?
Oh, crit Rage Hammer is 0.
Right.
But with the new discharge, you can put it's worth putting that crit add-on on it because you can use it. It's worth using for damage now, where before I just used it as another like add-on applier. And now it's like that ability when you have like some crit on it, it hits like unbelievably hard. Like it reminds me like how it works. It reminds me. Remember when Suck Valk came out and they would just ground pound and it would just one shot everyone.
Yeah. Divine.
It reminds me of like that type of damage. Like it does.
Right.
It's like what? It's like what was that? Like it doesn't look like much and you just like get chunked. It's
yeah. That skill was nuts.
It's like that except it's super armor. 8-second cooldown. So like that skill is pretty scary. But then the rest of Succession Strikers not that scary. The frontal guard though on the adamantine chain is something. But the adamantine chain doesn't do a ton of damage in PvP.
Yeah.
But it's like the changes are nice. It's just that I just think to make Succession truly like playable and like group stuff would take so much that I don't think it's realistic.
What would you have to do? Because
I mean, first,
I
think the SA running that Awakening has is like the only reason the class can even like exist right now.
Okay.
The SA running with ebuff is like what makes Striker have like the playmaking like potential. That's like what saves it. It's like it would need that. Which the thing is, if they got something like that in a main hand, it's even better than Awakening because, like I was saying earlier, Awakening doesn't have that many CCs. Succession or like main hand is a lot. Well, actually, Succession doesn't. Succession loses like 5 CCs, but the main hand still is just. It's a lot better to be in main hand, even in like just in both specs, because both specs just main hand is stronger than anything Awakening can do. CC wise.
Right.
So like adding that would help it a lot and it would make it have like the same type of like feel where like I can go for like a play here. I have like an opportunity where Suck like if you play Suck and like RBF and stuff, there's never a situation where like, oh, I can go in here and do something. It's always like I have to sit back and grab whoever dives and then do my unprotected combo on them. Well,
with Rage Hammer's new damage, would you be able to like run into a group and do your little leap Rage Hammer and get some kills and run out?
Yeah, because it discharges, it also activates Hadouken. So you could buff it up, run in, like Roaring Tiger, because Rage. I can't talk. Rampaging Predator.
Okay. I
They
was
made
gonna
it
say
flow away-
Roaring
they made it-
Tiger. Oh no.
They made it way faster out of dashes in both Awakening and Succession. You could like Roaring Tiger in and then like knee hammer, rage hammer on someone, and then like finish off with a Hadouken and back up. And that could technically be possible. I don't know if that's enough to actually still kill people now, because in that
Right.
situation you don't have the crit buff at all. But it is definitely a lot more viable. I'll have to see what it actually plays out as. Because I haven't done a ton of Succession stuff yet. I've just been trying to figure out combos with the new skills. Where Succession just got kind of like game. Succession didn't get like a ton of new combos. It just got a lot of more damage and like quality of life things.
Yeah.
Like, so I haven't put a lot of time into it yet.
That's the thing that like it's one of the things that a little bit worries me about the recent Ranger change where they removed the SA from their new skill, and when I look at Succession on Striker is like both of those classes' weaknesses were large scale, and the change to Ranger losing that SA I feel like weakens their large scale in Awakening, and then Suck, like I don't know, it still just doesn't really seem like you'd ever use this in large scale over Awakening, even if the Awakening changes end up getting nerfed a little bit. It's
Yeah,
like
like,
still way better.
I think it's like if it came out now, I think it'd be about as good as Awakening is right now. That's or maybe slightly better than Awakening is now. That's where I'd place it. It's just like because I remember I played some Node Wars of Succession, and every time I played it, I did good, but it feels so bad. Because like I remember the first time I was playing it, I'm like, we hit a base, and I was like staying on top of a base, just DPSing it with Suck, and then just like obviously I'm annihilating the base because Suck single target. But then we're like the next fight, we're going to the next base, and we're like, all right guys, we're going to Vertex base. Careful, there's a lot of stun traps. I'm like, oh that's fine. I'm just gonna. Oh wait, what do I do? Because when you're playing like Awakened Striker, when you hear stun traps, you're like, okay, I'm gonna spiral jump through them, and then like if I have E-buff, I'm just gonna E-buff and run around and eat all of them.
Right.
And then when I'm Succession, I'm like, what do I do about stun traps? I had no idea what to do, and then just like, and whenever you go for kills, like you have to do like a really basic like 2 or 3 hit like very whatever damage combo and just like re-CC them for someone else. And it's just
Yeah.
it would. I do think now that it has like a protected chain that does it's a frontal guard chain. But it's better than being nothing. It does some damage. I don't know if it's gonna do crazy damage. And then the Rage Hammer, like, it might be better than it looks on paper, but if nothing compared to what these Awaken changes are. Let's put it that way.
Rez, you dabbled a little bit in Striker. Is there anything about what you saw that kind of makes you want to play Striker again?
I don't know, man. For me to play Striker, I would have to redo my whole goddamn build. So not
Yeah.
really super interested in doing that. Like I'll play it for funsies. Like I had one tagged for a while, and I would go into RBF with it, fuck around, grind on the Suck version of it. But it's the fact that I like playing Zerker. Zerker is my main, and Zerker can't use evasion. Like I would have to have insane gear for it to be any sort of usefulness. So
Yeah.
which I don't. So it just doesn't jive very well, unfortunately. But I
What's
am
the-
excited to just kind of mess around with it all. I've actually, as soon as I saw the Striker like rework on Global Labs, I was like, oh shit, I might need to get Global Labs again because that looks fun as fuck.
I was saying I think Awakened Striker, like I think there is a possibility to wear full AP with the change. Like I do think that now that it has like damage it can do in SA, I do think there is a world where you could see like full AP strikers running around and it actually like helps them. Because right now it's just like every striker, it's like like there's no striker that's running around with like 305 human damage. That's not like you're not gonna run anything like that. You're not gonna run.
Dude,
You're not gonna run a bunch of accuracy accessories. It's not gonna help you. It's just gonna make you die instantly. We're like and you don't do a lot of SA damage even with all that.
I
But
don't know, dude. Maybe I might have to test it, Divios.
but with the changes, like I definitely think there is a possibility there could be like DR human damage Suck Striker or Awakened Strikers that just like can blow people up. Because its damage is very high, especially with the rampaging changes. I still think obviously being more balanced and having that like base tankiness to where you counter like a lot of like just initial damage, like it's kind of like stray damage, and then having AP on top of that would be really good.
Right.
But I do think there's a world where full AP strikers could be killing people or like wiping people.
All right, so let's get to some of the negative stuff, because there's a lot of questions people have, a lot of concerns people have from the non-striker point of view. I'm gonna go through some of these. I might miss some, but hopefully I cover all of them, and I kind of want your opinion on them one by one. We're gonna start with the damage. Based on what we saw with striker damage, I think one of the things a lot of people are afraid of is if it were to come to the live server as you see it, and this is already kind of a problem for a lot of people on striker, is when they fight a striker, they catch the striker, they can't kill the striker, and then the striker gets up, catches them, and deletes them. And this is going to become more true if everything were to come here. So do you think that this damage to tankiness ratio is in a balanced state? Do you think it's too much damage or not?
The thing is, in those fights, right? Nothing changes in those fights. The only the only difference in those fights is the spiral and nimbus changes. Because in those fights, if you're grabbed, you're dead anyway. It doesn't matter if you're alive or global lab. You're still instantly dead.
Well, right, but what it does enable, if all the damage is higher, is them to take off another thing. Like, for example, they might not have to wear an earring. Now they could throw on ethereal, right?
The thing is, if you're looking at current classes, yeah, but if you're looking at because when I'm fighting things like Awakened Sage, Corsair, Zerker, Ranger, all these classes, they kill you no matter what your DP is. I could be 510 DP. They could pretty much kill me if they're even geared as me, and they're based around and they're building as much accuracy as I am evasion, or building any accuracy. While being those classes, they'll evaporate me. It doesn't matter if my DP is 500.
Can you specify which version of Corsair you're talking about?
Succession.
Okay, thank you. I'm like, dude, I'm not able to kill evasion people on Awakening that easy. On Saku, it was cake, not on Awakening. It's kind of tough.
Yeah, there's it's just right now it's weird on live where there's there was a time in Node War where I got CC'd. I was on my striker. It was against Vertex, Black Rose. I got CC'd by 6 people. There's 6-7 people around me. I live, and then I'm like, okay, I'm tanky as fuck. I'm running around. I'm owning, and then the very next fight, Awakened Sage is on the side, grabs me, 3-shots me. I'm like, okay. Just it's so polar in how the damage works in different classes right now, because it basically feels like when you're fighting a lot of the newer classes that you're fighting these reworked classes already, and it's just I think that's what they're gonna end up going towards. To be honest, I think most classes are gonna be like that. I'm really scared that I think everyone's just gonna evaporate each other.
Right. So what about for classes I know my friend plays Guardian's concerned about this. I know a lot of hashes are concerned where they're not getting reworked and they're not quite what Sage is or Nova power level wise. Should
they're the ones that are gonna. I think they'll probably get changed after though. They're not part of the initial reworks, but if they see that those classes are struggling, I'm sure. Right. I think if they've already even said something that they'll look at them after, see where they lie after all these changes go through.
Right.
But yeah, I do think because Guardian doesn't have a very good combo in general. Their combo, they have good skills and but they just because their speed is just if you're Awakened Guardian doesn't have that crazy of a combo no matter what you do. It's just no matter what, you're gonna do something, then you're gonna re-CC with cleansing and then shift right click. It's just where at some point you get around to doing that. It's not a ton Awakened Guardian does in combos.
So the next concern for a lot of people is the change to you kind of justify the spiral with in large scale you get CC'd out and it feels bad, and especially if you're getting hit by a lot of stuff. In 1v1, a lot of people are, especially if you play a class that doesn't have a grab, is dude, what am I supposed to do to CC that class with Nimbus gap gone, spiral gap gone?
Yeah, what it does in 1v1 is allows striker to play aggressive, which could be very scary. But I was playing it, and I was fighting an Awakened DK on Global Lab. And of course, I have 300 ping, and I think he might have been lower ping. I'm not sure, but it was hard for me to ever grab him.
Mm-hmm.
But the matchup doesn't. The only difference is now it's basically it just Spiral and the Nimbus are part of the SA rotation. So it's like instead when you're fighting classes like that without grabs, you'd almost never go for those because you like that's how I'm gonna get CC'd. I'm not gonna do that. So now it makes the fight a lot more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Because like that's what I was saying, like the Musa Mewa matchup, it's literally a matchup of patience, where you have to wait till the striker gets bored of standing still, and you have to not get bored of him standing still before the fight starts.
Do you think
now
that relationship changes with Musa though after this? I mean, obviously you get to be aggressive, but is there an opening?
There's not an opening.
Okay.
The only opening is me missing my grab.
And then
backstepping 15 feet and then desyncing. That's what happened a lot. That's honestly what that grab change does. You still get punished for missing the grab, but you teleport 15 feet back and you desync out of it. That's what was happening a lot.
Yeah, maybe someone will convince you guys to start doing that really bad new iframe that doesn't let you move after.
Oh yeah, start using the Landbuster one.
Yeah, just to give us a chance, you know. I mean, I don't know, like at least not obviously the game's not like an esport and there's not really a competitive scene, but they did talk about adding 1v1, 2v2, 3v3 arenas, and the idea of like, yeah, no, this class literally can go at you and never be CC'd is, I mean, it reminds me of Mystic, Launch Mystic.
The problem is though, right? It's like we're also again imagining a world where other classes haven't got their reworks.
Right, for sure.
And the thing is, like, most of Striker's matchups, especially with those classes I was talking about, like fighting Sork, if I have low DP or the Sork is actually able to do chip damage, Sork is the most miserable matchup possible. Like any class that like can chip you in SA, which is like that's what Awakened Sage can do as well as grab. But like it's like when I was fighting Awakened Sage before their iframe change, it's like I was literally I'm rotating SA because I can't catch up to them, and then like they're chipping me. And I'm just like at some point I have to make like a really fast unprotected play to go for something because I'm gonna die.
So do you think some of these classes like Sork or whatever will just get enough chip damage that it won't matter that much that they don't have a grab?
It's very possible.
So how do you feel about that because I know a lot of Sorks, my friend Alki complains about this a little bit too, that he doesn't like that Sork got Soul Reaper with super armor and that now it's more of like an SA trade class. I know a lot of people talk about, well, they're slowly going back to the old version of the game where everything was protected and you basically had to rely on grabs. Do you like that meta, or is that the direction you see that they're going, and is that good or bad?
I think they're definitely going in more protected, but I don't think it's like terrible. I think the problem with like protected is like there's a lot of classes that already have that, and it feels really bad when you're doing like. It just sucks when it's not like you're choosing to use unprotected skills. It's that you're forced to use these protected skills that get caught anyways. Like it's just a really frustrating like game style. If it was more like I was like, oh, I'm going for this unprotected CC here, I'm going for this here. It's like okay, but it's just like there's so many classes just like if they're using anything unprotected, it's like a 0.2 second animation or a 0.1 second animation. You don't even see it by the time they've done it. You can't. It's not like something you can punish.
Right.
And it like when you have longer animations, it just doesn't make sense for those to not be protected. I do think Spiral is gonna be crazy in 1v1, like and like small scale in general. I think Spiral is gonna be like really annoying to deal with. But I do think it also Spiral being like that makes Striker like playable in groups because you'll actually be able to like go for a CC. Because right now, the only CC you can really go for is 50% leg. And 50% leg, if you hit a group of people, does nothing. Because it loses all its damage when you 50% it.
So, I don't know. I'm trying to think, I'm trying to remember back. It's funny because now that we went through so many different phases, all you can really build off of is your experiences. But maybe I wasn't playing the game long enough, but I started playing it right when Dark Knight came out. So I experienced the pre-CC changes for a year. It was 1 year. Mystic came out at the end of the year that year. Awakening came out at the beginning of the year, 2018. And then the CC changes happened. But during that time, Like right now, everyone's complaining that everyone's so protected, but at the time, I don't remember everyone like having an issue with it. Maybe
No,
maybe they
because-
did, but I don't.
No, I think. No, I think Sorks did, and every other class didn't, because the problem with. No,
Yeah.
I mean the
No,
thing is,
you're
but
not
Sorks
wrong,
are
yeah. At
like at the time there was not that many like. If you're looking at the classes there, like Musa was just an SA trading god. There is not like. Then like Warrior and Valk were lingering SA. Like Warrior and Valk were like the biggest like problems after Mystic and Striker weren't unkillable. Because Mystic and Striker, even when they weren't SA, they were just you couldn't kill. They when they got that magic DP change, if you were any class that did magic damage, you did 0 damage. It was not you did not do anything.
It was so fun.
It's like if you were, it's literally like if you were magic. Now it's like oh if it's a magic damage class, I'm a bit tankier. But most of the magic damage classes since that release have had very high accuracy, so it kind of just balances out where like they do a lot of damage to me, but I get a bit countered by magic DR and evasion. So like it kind of just like Sork is like the one magic class that there is no form of Sork that I'm really afraid of unless I have like unless my DP is really low. Like if my DP is really low, then they just it's an impossible fight because they're just SA trained me as I'm lingering. But it's just right now that's not a thing. It's not possible right now for that to be a thing.
Rez, what about you? Like they're going. I mean, clearly they're moving towards more protection. I don't think it'll ever be like what it was, just because. And I know everyone forgets it, but I always use Kuno as the example. But you run through the Kuno skill tree in the old days. Every single skill in the Awaken tree was a protected CC.
Yes, that's what. Yeah, like for example, like I remember what it is on Striker. Like Striker, wake and grab, fully protected. Like leg drop, protected knockdown, spiral, frontal guard knockdown, infernal, like super armor bound with a linger. Like clones was like the super armor like stun that like lasted like it like double stunned you. It lasted so long. Like like everything was crazy.
As the resident BDO boomer, allow me to enlighten all the youngins that may be listening. Back in the day, you did not ask which one of these skills is protected. You asked what protection are these skills?
Right.
Because literally 95% of everything was protected, and 95% of everything had CCs.
Yeah.
So it's just not possible for us to get back there, honestly. Like it may feel that way, but it's not it's not comparable. Like if you played back then, like you probably have a better understanding, but even then you can kind of like forget what it was like.
Yeah,
But
I don't know if you remember, but right after CZ changes, people were so unprotected, it was like criminal.
Yeah,
People
it was
like when you went into like RBF, it was literally if you were in range of someone, you were CC'd, and you'd use your couple essays. Because didn't they have like a thing where like they're like each class is gonna have 3 essays or something in Awakening?
Yeah.
It's like
No, yeah,
like
yeah.
what like.
Yeah, they said each class was going to have 3 protections and like 3 CCs or something, because this was before Succession, right? It was Awakening only. So it's like you're gonna have 3 protections and 3 CCs, except for Awakening, Witch, and Wizard, which
They're
are gonna be
gonna
the
have
only
5
classes in the
4.
game that are going to have an extra skill that is both protected and CCs because they're slow.
Yeah, it was crazy times. It's never getting back something like that. But
so do you prefer? I mean, obviously you have a grab, so I think it's like all the people that don't have a grab are a little bit worried about the SA thing. Do you think that that's a problem, or do you think there's an issue with grabs in general? What are your opinions on grabs in the game currently?
I mean, I think cooldowns on grabs are too low. I don't think Zerker should have 4 grabs because it makes like there's no downtime. I think like honestly I don't like having I don't think Striker having 2 is good, or Ninja having 2 is good either. I think grab should be a thing where like I think they should be like 10, 12 second cooldowns at least. Like I think I'd say like 12 seconds should be like a good time. I think like Striker's 7-second cooldown with a 4-second hold is pretty dumb because it means if you can like Strikers can basically grab you stiffen you and grab you again. That's just a normal thing. Like they can just do that without any down smash. With yeah. Oh, that's actually they nerfed Striker Succession with the change to Crouching Wolf. Now you have 20% attack speed. It means your grab will be too fast and you can't double grab someone off nothing anymore. No, but it's like jokes aside, it's like I think all grabs should be like 12 seconds. I think any fast grabs, like ones like Warrior, where they just instantly drop you, should be unprotected. Like honestly, I'm surprised Mystics is protected because it was like for the longest time they've added it back now to more grabs, but for a long time the only classes that protected grabs were Zerker, Striker, and Mystic. And Mystic grab was like the only fast grab that was protected. Every other class, like Zerker and Striker, like if you made those grabs that are holding you unprotected, it would be like so bad. It'd be a 1v1 only tool, and it would get you killed in every other situation. But so I feel like those had to be protected or reworked to be a fast grab. And then, but I do think like just grab cooldown should be increased, and classes shouldn't have more than one at a time, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, that's my biggest thing is cooldowns. I mean, I'm probably going to be more harsh than most people that enjoy it.
And range grab shouldn't exist.
Range grab shouldn't exist or should be an extreme cooldown. I think, like, I went
that
through
should
this...
be like 30 seconds, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just crazy.
Because like when you're fighting like a Lon or Awakened Sage, it's just like I don't think people realize how much. I mean, Lon is the worst, obviously, because of how easy it is to hit land as well. But just like I don't think people realize how much pressure that you put on someone. Like when I'm fighting, when there's a Lon or a Sage around, I'm just like, if they're within 20 feet of me, I'm thinking iframe. I have to use it, and just like and that's every time when they're close to you. They don't have to. It's not like melee grabs where it's like they have to dash up to you and be like, oh, he's gonna go for the grab here. It's like they're just playing their neutral and they're close to me using their melee skills. I have to think, oh, they could grab me here, and it's so much pressure in matchups unless if your class isn't like either extremely fast or iframe oriented, that it's so hard to deal with, and it's just with them only being like 12-second cooldowns as well. It's just you like they throw it out and you're like, I have to pressure this now. I have to go all in now. And then it runs out pretty fast, and then they go for it again. And also, yeah, long grab speed is.
Do you think overall damage in the game is too high? Like it's power crept up too much?
Oh, it's crazy right now. Like damage in general is insane, and with these like. It depends if you're looking at like because current damage right now in live I think is too high, not including those outlier classes. I think the damage is high, and then they add like all these classes getting damage buffs. Everyone's gonna be killing in 2 or 3 hits, while protected. Like you're just gonna be killed in SA.
Do you think they have plans to add anything in the future? Like, do you think?
I think instead of nerfing damage, they're gonna do all these reworks, and they're gonna buff everyone's DP. That's likely what will happen because it's always been like a cycle. The only difference is the last cycle was short because of they did the add-on changes so fast. Because like so what happened? Successions came out, right? Successions broke the game with damage. Everyone was an assassin. Everyone killed each other instantly. They ended up nerfing Successions down, buffing the other classes, bringing up Awakenings, and then like okay, damage is still high. All right, 10 new DP brackets. So now those people at those 10 new DP brackets, they were quite tanky again, so then it became more of like a defensive, like you could survive stuff meta. And then the week after they added the new skill add-ons, and then it went farther back than those 10 brackets would ever add. And that's kind of where we've been. But then then the recent classes are just like they're that plus like they have way higher damage and accuracy. And I think that's where we're gonna end up going is more damage, more accuracy, and then they'll re-look at it later. Maybe they're prepping us for Fallen God armor. Maybe that's why they're increasing the damage so high, because they know internally people are going to be really tanky. That might be a stretch, but
no, dude, they're gonna finally listen to Frosty from probably 2 years ago now and add pants to the game.
had new armor slot.
Yeah, dude. We talked about that as a solution years ago. I don't even know how long ago now. And we were talking about what they should add, and the answer is obvious. It's pants. No one has pants in this game.
True.
We have armor, we have boots, we don't have pants.
We do need pants. The problem is if they give us pants would be kind of cool. Add a little bit of DP. The problem is they'd probably also give us AP variant of pants, and everyone would run the AP pants.
Pants that give you damage.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll give us some crazy tankiness with the cups for the earrings, and like Fallen God could help, but it's still like what when you get the whole thing, you get what 6 evasion, 4 DR if you get it to Tet.
Yeah.
So it's,
I mean, it adds up when if you add all of Tet Fallen God. But the thing is, I don't think they're trying. I think they're like, it is a lot easier to balance for gear when people aren't tanky. Tankiness is geared. It relies on you being geared. There's never been a point in the game where someone's been like 500 gear score and was tanky, unless they were full DP, in which case they did 0 damage.
yeah.
So there's never been a point where you can do damage and be tanky if you were low geared.
I don't know. Like, I also wonder if they plan to add new accessories, like with the Calpheon Elvia or the new winter area.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then there's also this balance. I mean, for me, I know from a striker's point of view, you still feel like you die fast, but striker dies a lot less fast than a lot of other classes. And the idea of like everyone being, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 20% tankier just means striker's going to become more unkillable, but still do high damage. I don't know. It's like kind of scary in that regard too, because they don't really have a,
because it favors the tankier classes for sure. Well, like it brings warrior and Valk up a ton too. Valks are already so tanky. If you're a Valk above like 670, if you have any form of like if any of that 670 is towards your DP, I can't kill you at like 300 AP as Awakened Striker. It's not possible right now. It's just they're so tanky.
yeah.
It's hard. And then like warriors can the main thing with warriors their buffs drop off a lot faster, so they get squishier faster.
Do you think I wanted to ask you about the magic DP stuff? Do you think that the magic classes, magic DP, or the damage ratio for them against striker, mystic, and for in some cases Valk warrior is too low? Like those should be closer.
The only classes I feel like do not enough damage to me, it has to be Sork, Suck, Wizard, and Witch, and like Hash.
Mhm.
Those are classes that like I'm never really worried. Like the only times that they do any damage is with E-buff. If they don't have E-buff, I don't worry about them at all. Like it's just like that's like because all 3 of those classes get accuracy in their E-buffs, but their accuracy is low, their damage is not crazy. Well, Succession Wizard used to like 2-shot me, but it does not anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like Awakened Wizard still has good damage because they have very high accuracy on their skills. But yeah, like the other magic class, like DK, like as much as DKs wouldn't like to believe it, DK does a lot of damage to Striker and Mystic still.
But it's still like with DK, it's like Suck kind of. Does Awaken? I don't know if Awakening really does.
Awakening definitely does good damage. I think Succession does a bit more, but Awakening definitely does it. And if either of those, like it's like because with Hash and Sork, it's like when they pop E-buff, they do good damage. For me, it's like DK does like that damage normally, and then when they E-buff, they one-shot me.
Right.
like DKs do a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a hard matchup because they have no grab.
Guess I'm just picturing in the combo, like because Enforcement and Succession is so cracked, and kind of makes up for that. But
it's just
I don't know.
I see the DKs they do like where I don't know what skills are, but they they do like a bunch of buffs and debuffs, and then they re-CC, and then then they swap back to Awakening, and they do like the little they back jump and then do a bunch of like explosions on me. that does a lot of damage. I'm
Yeah.
not like it's not like it's crazy because I know DKs like on other people like evaporate them. Obviously, it's lower than that. Like they're not just like evaporating my block all the time. But if they're even geared to me, they're doing a lot of damage to me. Like if I fight like multi can one combo me no problem
Can he?
without ebuff.
I'd
Yes.
have to see that. Multi thinks he doesn't do damage to any class, so I don't know.
He's not gonna chip me, which means the matchup's hard.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like he's not gonna just throw out random damage skills and trip me, which makes it not fun. But if he does get like a catch that he can combo off of, he can kill me in a combo.
I don't know, Rez, do you have any before we move off of like kind of class balance and stuff? Oh, what are your opinions, Divios, on the Ranger and the Warrior reworks so far?
I don't really have a lot of experience with the Awaken Ranger. Suck Ranger, I mean, I didn't do anything last week, so I've kind of just been running at Suck Rangers and using the double rampaging and just killing them with that. And it's it feels not very fair anymore. Suck Ranger used to be honestly like on live. Suck Ranger is really annoying for striker unless it's like unless it's like a closed in area. Like in an open field, catching up to the Ranger just kiting forever is really annoying. It's not like it's in their favor, like cause Suck Ranger is just not very good 1v1. But like it takes so long to finally get to them. It's really annoying. I'm sure like I was looking at the changes for Ranger Suck specifically, and they look like they're gonna just annihilate like their groups of people with like the damage split changes and the tearing arrow changes. Like they look really scary.
It feels really. I was testing it today, dude. Suck Ranger damage is so insane.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so nuts, dude. I mean, even Awaken Ranger is pretty nuts. But like I was saying, the issue with the Awaken Ranger is them removing that SA just makes it tough. I don't know. I don't know. What about Warrior?
Suck Warrior. It's really weird, right? Because Suck Warrior's problem, like Suck Warrior is one of the few classes in the game. I think their straight up problem was accuracy. Their accuracy on all their main stuff, except for I think the Shield Strike, is very low. Like they have like 0 to 10% on most skills.
Right.
And Warrior had like 25% in Awakening. So like Warrior Awakening had good accuracy. It's just Warrior Awakening damage wasn't very high. Or like Suck was the opposite. Suck Warrior had good damage but had very bad accuracy. I was surprised that they didn't give an evasion debuff and an accuracy buff. They did. I saw they did. They added it this week, but it's still like Scars is still 0% accuracy, and they have no accuracy buff apart from their ebuff. And then like Awakening, like, I think Suck Warrior is really cool though. I think seeing people good at Suck Warrior, it's so cool because there's so few of them, but it's such like a cool looking class. It's just I don't know. I like Suck Warrior a lot.
I think it's cool now. I don't know. Like the animations looked so lame to me before, but they like spiced them up a lot. So they look. I think they look really cool now. But
and then Awaken Warrior, just like the Awaken Warrior is like it seems so strong now.
yeah.
Like the matchup doesn't change a lot, but it's just like it is very scary. Like when they're reckless now is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That and the new pulverize as well.
Rez, did you want to ask anything before we talk about non-class stuff?
Yeah. I wanted to ask the question that we've been asking both ourselves and last week Flannels and Biceptimus. What do you think, Divios, of all the classes that are being reworked, what do you think has the highest potential or is the most likely, however you want to phrase it, to become like overpowered as fuck? Like the new busted class?
Zerker. Like Zerker or Sork, I think are gonna be this. Those are the ones that scare me the most. Because the thing is, Sork, like it's just like I was saying like earlier with like the matchup 1v1. All Sork needs to do is to be scary for me is like if they did damage to me in SA, or if they have any form of like quick damage, it's gonna be a nightmare. and Zerker like like with how strong Seismic is like. Like letting Zerkers do anything on top of that is just it's gonna be crazy. like, it's actually man, Zerker's gonna be insane. I think I hope they at least like tone down Q buff if they're gonna do all that other, because I do think like Q buff is dumb, but everything else the class is Q buff Seismic, the game, and then grabs
Yeah.
Like it is pretty linear, but it's so strong. Like it's a very strong way to be linear. Like it's like there's not really a lot of like countering either of those things.
Right. So I think I said ninja. Frosty, what did you say again?
I forget every week, but probably I don't remember now. Sork. I could
Yeah.
honestly easily see them accidentally making Kuno insane, although I can't really see it for large scale.
Nyashi thinks it's going to be warrior, which that's
There's
kind of
no way.
cheating
Now-
because
now that-
we already had warrior out whenever he said that.
Yeah, but now that we've seen them all, I feel like there's no way. I still don't think warrior is going to be even close to meta in large scale, even with the changes.
No.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like I was scared of Suck Ranger too, but I mean honestly I still am scared of Suck Ranger because those changes like
I'm scared of Suck
Suck
Ranger.
Suck
Straight up.
Ranger's damage is it's already like so like oppressive.
Yeah, people are
Like-
sleeping on it. I mean, the split damage got reduced. They have a new crit buff. The elemental strike damage got increased. The damage on a lot of their skills is just up. Tearing Arrow has down attack. Blasting Gust, Prime Blasting Gust now is down attack. Like, it's... I think it's going to be crazy. I honestly think that they're really, really scary. The thing is with Ranger, though, based on what they've changed, is they'll still need to play around a group. So it revolves on the core of your guild being relatively strong. So that way you can get like
even
your
if
full
even if
damage
they're not
out, you
strong,
know?
just having bodies in front of you means it's hard for people to get to you. But obviously,
Right.
if your group's getting like as long, it's not even like your group has to be strong. It's just you do need other people around to like frontline or get in the fight while you're shooting everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I also am scared of what they could do to casters. Just 'cause
That's
we've already been there before, but I think that's
Yeah.
more of like a because we've been there, so it's like
yeah. We've been there like 3 times.
I
now.
actually think it's because like they got so much flack for letting Suckwiz sit on top for so long. I think it's because of that they're gonna make sure that mages don't become like super like oppressive, at least not more than they already are.
Yes. Yeah, all the
Hopefully.
like range, like the range damage just becoming crazy is like Archer could be really scary. Like if Archer, like imagine Archer doing like Suck Ranger damage, like just like or
That's
even
what
if
they want,
obviously it shouldn't be that high because of how much movement they have. You know that's what they want. And like even if it was close, it would be so hard to deal with because catching Archer is
Mhm.
not fun. Like if your class doesn't do like damage in SA, it is really hard to like get on an Archer and deal with them. Their whole downside is that it's like they're very protected and very like evasive. Not like speed wise, but like they're evasive and hard to like. It's hard to keep up with them when they're doing their little hops all the way around.
Yeah.
Unless you're a very specific type of class.
yeah, Rangers stayed a little bit under the radar because somehow the Ranger community has convinced everyone that everything they got was a nerf. But separately from which one you think will be the most strong, which one do you think will cause the most people to complain about how strong it looks? Because right now Striker I think is in the lead.
I think it's gonna be Striker or Sork. Like
You think
I think it's gonna be Striker or Mystic. Striker, Mystic, Sork, dude. People like people are like people just hate people surviving in this game in general. So when a class is either iframe around you nonstop and can't be hit, or if you combo them and they don't die, people hate that more than anything else in this entire game. I guess I can say that confidently as someone that played DP builds for like 3 years. Anytime they can't kill you, they're so mad. They're like, why can't I kill him? That's not fair kind of thing. Even if he's wearing 120 AP and he can't do anything to you, the people are still going to be upset about not being able to kill someone.
Do you someone's at Gracchus is bringing up a good point, and Rezlar, same question goes for you. Which rework do you think overall is going to be the worst? Like where they get it and it's like, dude, this didn't do anything.
I mean, I do think like Suck Striker could be on that list, but like it has to be like a class like it's already like it needs so much. Like just if you think of classes that needs like a ton of changes, like not something like, any class that just needs something simple, will probably get it. But any class that needs like actual like mechanical changes, unless it's like the only spec on that class people play, I don't think it's gonna happen. Like Musa and Maewa could end up being the worst after reworks too. If they like that is very possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Is it because if they don't make like mechanical changes to chase and how slows work, like it doesn't matter if they do a billion damage, they one shot you with stub arrow. If you get within 20 feet of them, they get slowed and die.
I think the biggest loser, how I would phrase it, in terms of the class that's going to get the least changes, could very well I could see being Succession Sork.
Yeah.
It's definitely suck.
one
They're
could-
definitely doing less broad changes for successions in general.
That one
Yeah,
could also
and that's
just be nuts.
Like like honestly, when I think of bad, I think it's gonna be like Suck Musa after the changes, because every class is
I
gonna
could
have
see
that
Suck
kind of
Musa,
accuracy.
yeah.
Except and then yeah,
I don't know. I just think Suck Sork is like. I don't know if it's that Suck Sork is necessarily bad. I think it's just that Awakening is so much better. But I think that
Succession is better at throwing gear, but Awakening is just
Is
so
it
much
anymore?
safer.
I don't think Suck is better at that anymore.
When I watched I like Liquid in Cho, like Crown Chest or whatever, he played Suck Sork for a long time. I haven't seen him recently, like so maybe I don't think things have changed that much, but like it was like it's not an easy fight, but like because they can like Suck Sork can chip me in SA, even with
Yeah.
with when it's similar gear. Like that's the thing. Like chipping in SA means like it's like they are way easier to catch. Don't get me wrong. Like Succession Sork is way easier to catch, but I also had to play way more aggressive and unprotected because of just how much damage they were doing. So if they increase that damage further, it could be very scary.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, Suck might not like. I'm kind of with you, Rez. Like, but like halfway. Like I'm like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I feel like Suck Sork could either end up being like, wow, they changed nothing, or what the hell did they just do to this class? Like really easily.
Yeah,
it's
like definitely
just
volatile.
damage. It's just
it's very volatile.
Hopefully they do some like I don't know.
I also
we'll
think
see.
like I think Suck Zerker's on that list too.
Yeah, Suck Zerker.
Because I think the problem with Suck Zerker is that Awaken Zerker is so good.
no.
The problem is they can't do any like general class changes because of how strong Awakening is. Because I think if you Suck Zerker should be like it should be like a drain tank where it heals off, it's non-stop swinging, it's in the fray, it's CCing like getting big CCs. I think that'd be awesome, and that would honestly be like my ideal class at that point. But it's just because of how you couldn't make Zerker tanky because of how ridiculous Awakening is. Imagine if Awakening Zerker was all of a sudden tanky, like even just like tankier like a Valk or something, or if in a crazy world as tanky as like a Striker or Mystic.
They can make just Succession tankier. I mean, they already do that. You literally get 500 extra HP just for being Succession Zerker over Awakening.
But that's what I'm saying. That it would have to be like the passive would have to be like the Succession passive would need to be like you get 100 DR, all your abilities heal, and you get 2,000 HP and. Like,
I just feel like
it'd have to be like a crazy change.
Suck Zerker is so much fun, but I feel like it's almost like a weird design flaw thing with that fucking class because it has like such little quick damage. It's only like fast damage would be like your Ancient Wave, which does not actually do very much damage, honestly. Succession, people. I'm talking about Succession, not Awakening, because I know people are gonna be like, he thinks the way he doesn't do damage. Succession, Ancient Wave does not do the very much damage. And And then it's like after you do that, like what are you supposed to do? If you have E buff, you can swipe, which is like pretty good, but you'll just die. And then or you can spin, which you'll just die. So it's like what are you supposed to do?
Especially like just think about like that's the thing is also I'm trying to think ahead. Like I actually the more I think about it, I think Slugs are going even worse. Because if they're not making them tankier in a world where everyone's doing double the damage, like a Zerker is not even like it's gonna do like 2 swings and die, even if those swings get a kill or 2.
Zerker could I could honestly see being the biggest loser, honestly. But I hope not.
Yeah.
I want to will that out of existence, please.
Like I could definitely see a situation where Awakening gets crazy good changes and Succession gets like a bit more damage, and they're like, all right, there you go. That's
like,
it's done.
Oh, we increase the movement speed while you're spinning. There you go. It's like, well,
Yeah, like, it's. I think Suckzerker is a very strange class.
No, definitely, it's weird.
I
And permanently in the shadow of its Awakening counterpart.
I know it's not that relevant, but in this demo video, like a lot of people are like, dude, what the hell? I want that mini map, which I do. But now I also am like, why is their Marshall shard thing so tiny?
Wait, I didn't even see this.
Their whole interface is tiny, like they're playing on like 8K resolution or something. Like, look how tiny their Marshall shard interface is and their cooldown UI.
they do have it really small.
It's so
but I didn't even
small.
see it in the video until you just said that.
Yeah, I don't know. Divios, how good is Kuno right now?
I couldn't tell you. I haven't seen one in months.
Dude, I'm over here like listening to Restar talk about Suckzerker's damage, and I'm like, dude, or like quick damage or whatever. And I'm like, I just wish that Kuno's spin did like half the damage that Zerker's spin does. I'd be so happy.
So like, yeah, Awaken Kuno, I'm never afraid of. Suck Kuno can be scary, mainly in like 1v1s and like very small fights like that.
You're right.
I do think it's like when I think of Suck Kuno, I think of it like it's like a squishy but way faster Suck Striker, where it's like it's not very protected, but it does crazy. It does a lot of damage if it can get the skills off. It's like it's like I don't know. I don't see Kunos anymore. Like that is the class I see the least of any class in the game by far.
Less than Musa and Mewa?
Oh, for sure. Not even close.
Where are you hanging out, man?
There was 5 Musas in my RBF last night.
Oh no, dude.
The Musas are out, bro. That's what I've been saying for a couple weeks now.
And then there was Mewas in every AOA I've done in the last like 2 months. I don't know why, but they're always there.
That's because they all come back to the game just for those tournaments, and then they go back to like playing fucking WoW or whatever they're doing.
That was one of the funny interview when they interviewed the EU Mewa. They were like, I don't know, I like quit the game and came back to do the tournament, and that was it. I don't know. Yeah, pork. Dude, I can't wait. So overall, like, would you say that people should be? I'm asking this to both of you. We'll start with Divios, but do you think people should be excited or dreading the reworks? Because I see a lot of negative, but for me, and it just evolves into I'm just a white knight, but I'm excited for that first, like, that month when everything comes out at once and everyone's kind of like discovering their class. I think it's going to be super fun.
No, I don't think there's any downside to making classes feel better and have more fun. Like there's no downside to that. The only downside is if your class doesn't get good enough ones. That's the only downside.
Yeah.
Like if your class gets like for example because I really like Suck Striker, but like for Suck Striker changes, I don't know when I'm even gonna be able to like play it at all, because like right now I only play it when I can't kill people with Awakening anymore, and Awakening I don't think I'm gonna have that problem. Let's put it that way. So I just I don't see a situation where I'm like I should play Succession here. It's always gonna be like I can play Succession if I want, I guess, but it's just worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone. That's probably what everyone's afraid of. Everyone's just afraid of like, what if my class gets the worst one or one of the bad ones?
Right.
Because there's always going to be a winner or loser with class balance.
I originally was afraid that they were only reworking Awakening, And I was like, dude, there's gonna be a lot of Succession just completely left out.
Succession should be worthless, yeah.
But
like,
what about you,
yeah,
Russ? Overall, so far?
No, I'm really hopeful, man. I think they did a really good job with the Warrior reworks. I can't really say much for Ranger, but Flannels was really happy about it, so I will take him at his word, considering he's Flannels. And I think that they did a really good job with Striker, at least in Awakening. I still think that the Succession changes are neat. Definitely not as good as Awakening, but so I'm pretty hopeful.
Yeah. It's just that super armor on Awakening. Hopefully they revert that. I think it should have super armor on that new skill. I don't know why, but that really, I don't even play Ranger, but that really like bothers me because it was the one thing that was like, that's sick. They're gonna have like a nice, quick super armor skill that does good damage.
That was
and
like,
they just took it.
Yeah, because that's the thing with Awakened Ranger. Like it was like, I don't know, you might have noticed it in the tournament, but basically whenever we were 1v2 against Flannels, our whole strat was basically whenever we were against Flannels, just kill his teammate, and then let one of us 1v1 them while the other person just plays basically goalkeeper and just stops them if they ever get CC, just stops them from doing anything.
Right.
That was like the whole strat. It was just, we're gonna like the guy on the ground won't V, the guy on the ground won't worry about it. The other guy's just gonna sit there and try to peel. And unless Flannels double CCs us with grab or like something like that at the same time, we'll be fine. Because Awakened Ranger, like there's never a situation where I'm worried about Awakened Ranger comboing me with a teammate around. It's not gonna happen.
What did and then Vert got CC'd by Regen, right?
Well, the problem was Vert wasted his V when he got grabbed. Like I was up and I was fine, and he got grabbed and he just instantly V'd out of like instinct. And then after, I got CC'd, and then he came in and got regened. But at worst, what should have happened there? Like even worst case, we should have just both V'd there. But he knows he went to like the wrong side there. It's just like.
Did you scream at him? Were you pissed?
No, I just said after he should have saved his V. That's all.
Were you like, you're lucky this isn't my smite team, or you'd be dead right now?
No, just it was like you'd be kicked off the team, dude.
I was just like upset. I had a 1v1 a Ranger with AOE HP things. I was like, I'm just gonna lose to HP inside, and then like I forgot clones do like half of everyone's health instantly, so I was good.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some of this stuff. Before we talk about the change for Spirit of Battle, Divios, can you kind of give your feeling, because you have a different perspective. You've basically always been in like a top 1 to 5 siege guild, and now you're hanging out in Cho. What are your feelings on Spirit of Battle in the state before this last week?
I think I feel it with like ebuffs as well, like with Suck Sage ebuff, Nova ebuff, Guardian ebuff, started with Guardian. Just like giving classes just full SA for any amount of time is extremely strong. And giving it to an entire guild for 30 seconds, that alone is a game changer that makes you win the fight. But then they also add 200 DP, which is more than a tough Whaleton elixir, a lot more, almost double. And as well as more healing. It's just like, you just can't fight it. Like at all. No matter what your guild is, no matter how they are, you cannot win that fight. Yeah. If they're running into your guild when you have flame towers, you run into your base with flame towers up, you don't fight that in your base with flame towers up CCing them, because flame towers at least can still CC them when they have it. But you still lose the fight in your base with flame towers. You have to, like, if they pop that buff and run in your base, you run out of your base and wait for it to drop off. That's how the matchup works. And you maybe drop some slows if you can, or walls. Like you cannot fight it no matter what. I think on capped stuff, it's not as bad, because on capped stuff it's the HP and the SA. Right. And you can still kill them. But like on my striker, when I was fighting someone with Spirit Battle on my striker, I'm like, what do I do? I don't do any damage. I barely kill them without the 200 DR. And I do all the damage like in combos, not standing up. I literally just have to sprint it away. I can't do anything. I can hold them and get one person like to get CC'd for a couple seconds. As soon as he hits the ground, he'll stand up though. Like, and I mean, I haven't got the perspective of using it very often. The only perspective I have is like the first day it came out, I got it against Digital, and I got grabbed by Scales, the DP striker, in the middle of a ball, and I didn't take any damage, and then I stood up and riffed it out. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so for me, I do like the idea of giving like a weaker guild something to feel like they could fight back a couple times during a war instead of just they get stomped and then the war's over and over and over again. Just because, I mean, as you know, like back in Snake Days, the amount of times you end up in a 1v1 with a smaller guild and they just don't show up, it's like, well, fuck. But this, I hate this buff so much. So the changes to this buff are as follows. So they changed the cooldown to Spirit of Battle from 5 minutes to 15 minutes, which I think is huge. Whereas like we talked about that. 15 minutes was kind of like the minimum, I think, of what we wanted. Like even higher to me would be fine, but 15 is nice.
Yeah.
They did make it a little bit easier to maintain the Spirit of Battle percentage by making it so when you kill an enemy, you don't lose 2, you only lose 1.
It's actually a lot harder to get it now.
Right, but it's still a lot harder to get it now because they made it so you only accumulate percentage if you die near the fortress or the base.
But you lose it with kills anywhere.
And you lose it with kills anywhere, and then you also only receive the buff when your GM or assistant or whatever pops the buff if you're near the base. So it's a lot better and it's more of a defensive measure,
which I think is what it should have been.
right?
Because what it does, right, when you were doing like 1v2s, which is like most node wars I've done, it's 1v2 1v3, all it turns into is every guild just presses respawn, runs into your base, hits your structures, respawn, and then whenever they have SOB, they just one guild will run in with SOB, the other two just run in and die, and then you have, and like I was saying earlier, you have to leave your base because you still lose, even if it's like there was very few guilds. I think there was like maybe 2 or 3 guilds that we fought, and we fought like 20, 30 different guilds. There's maybe 2 or 3 that we could just kill them even during their buff, and if you're not Cho Nation, you're not killing them either. Like it's incredibly strong, and when they're getting rotated on you and people just running in killing your structures, there's nothing you can do. Like it's just every 5 minutes you're losing 25% of your base. That's just how it is.
Do we know? Has anyone tested how far the radius is?
People are saying like 100 feet or less.
Really? That's not very far.
In-game distance?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's see how far.
I mean, 100 distance is pretty far, in all honesty.
Let me see. Because like, remember, your horse whistle...
It's far if you're turtling.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think it's fair on defense because I don't think anyone's having a problem with people on defense getting spawn killed, respawning, and making a play. That's not the problem. People's problem with it was that people just run in and die and lose the fight just so they could like kill you. They could just like, oh, it's fine. Next fight we'll get a good fight because we have this buff.
Yep.
So yeah, like the buff, 100 feet is about. It's from like the stable keeper to like that, you know, like the crossroad. So you go up. I'm trying to think.
So I'm looking at it like. So if you look at here, let me do like the storage keeper.
Oh, I'm watching you. Yeah.
So the storage keeper, basically from the storage keeper in Velia to right before the Velia hotspot is 100.
Yeah, which is like it's an okay, and you think it's in a circle, so it's a solid range, but
what's the
you're not
flag
making...
distance? What's the minimum distance you could place a flag from a base? Forget. Do you know, Rose?
I think 100.
Is it 100? Okay, so
like
then
100.
To me that's fine because normally you're gonna place a flag just outside that range. So if they're gonna go attack the flag, they get 0%. The only way they'd be gaining percentage would be if they're just full on defending and like fighting outside or around their base. But even if they decide to go move on the flag, which nowadays flags are a lot tankier, so you can't really just send one person. They're gonna not gain any percentage for those deaths. Like that was one of the issues we were having with when fighting like weaker guilds that just full turtled is like they get to just Spirit of Battle run our flag down over and over again, and it's like, yikes! I don't know, it just sucks. But the thing is that really bothered me about the buff more so than like the weak guilds, because I get it. Like if you're lesser strength, it's, you know, being able to push someone off, and it has resulted in, it's like a thing you just have to like accept mentally is like they're going to Spirit of Battle and push you off. And if you don't let that frustrate you, you do get better fights. Like there's definitely guilds that we normally would have won in like 15 to 20 minutes that now we're getting 45-minute fights because of Spirit of Battle. So that part's actually really cool. But the problem is
the fight gets like changed completely because the entire fight is about like dealing with that buff, whether it be getting the buff yourself or stopping them from getting the buff.
and
so just there's a lot of situations you're just running in and dying just to either reset their buff or
that fear of like, well, they could get it. Like, careful, we can't full engage now because they might pop it. We can't full engage, they might pop it. Like that whole like just the fear of it being up. But the thing that really bothered me about it was equal guilds or stronger guilds using it on each other is insane to me. Like the other day we had a 3v3 where we're fighting digital for 95% of it in a 1v1, and we're on offense at their base and we're dying. Like I guess Katie was like worse or whatever, so we're slowly gaining Spirit of Battle, and at the 30-minute mark we just get to go kill Turtle, which doesn't make any sense that APOC would have Spirit of Battle against Turtle. Like actually makes zero sense in the whole world that this poor smaller guild that's building up and in Node War scene, it's really cool that they're getting stronger, is just like, oh, by the way, this other guild that would beat you anyway now is unkillable.
Like we were fighting Crawling Chaos and Turtle, right? And so basically how that fight used to go, right, before Spirit of Battle is we'd just be we pressure a base. And we have part of our group defending like against the other one. That was like okay, but now with the Spirit of Battle, we had to keep repairing and saving our base, stopping cannons every time, or they just kill us. And then but what we had to do with that fight is we had to all run inside Crawling's base and just die, and then respawn and die in our base. And then once we did that, we had Spirit of Battle, and then we recovered a bit, and then Turtle, full base, full HP, everything. We summon on them, kill their base from full in like 30 seconds.
Dude, yeah. So another one too. We had freaking Vertex Spirit of Battle us when we were on defense, and like Vertex is like at best from a like APOC perspective. At best, we beat them in like a 2-hour battle. They're probably about even in a Node War, depending on the size, and then like on a siege, like they might be stronger, right, or whatever. Like it's so close that no one should have Spirit of Battle, and they literally like just do 70% of our base health, and we can't do anything about it.
Yep. Like just the other day, like the day right before they did the change, we had a 1v2. It was against Digital and Vertex, and they had it every time it would be up, they'd have the buff, and it's just like, what are you gonna do about that? It's like it is 1v2, so obviously they're gonna get it more because we're having to deal with 2 guilds. But it's just, oh man, just every 5 minutes you just lose 30% of your base, and you have to try to repair it.
What
are Rez? How do you like the changes, like the updates that they made to it?
No, I think it's good. I've said this since they very first announced it on Global Labs, and we couldn't see how it functioned because Node Wars don't go down there. But I think it's a good idea. The idea that you want to give something to theoretically the weaker guild.
Yeah, like a save the game or like a comeback mechanic. It's cool.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's just, as usual with this company, they come up with good ideas, and then their implementation of said ideas is the most abysmal shit you've ever seen in your life. So anything that helps it get closer to realizing that true idea, right, of it being a defensive buff, right, I am 100% on board for. I think it's good for the game.
Yeah. What about you? How do you guys feel about, because this is surprising to me. But they had a partial maintenance Thursday night and put it on live servers immediately.
No, that was the best. That was the best timing ever. I was about to pass out, and then I got a message from Frosty about the he's like, oh yeah, all these striker changes, and I'm like, wait, what striker changes? And then I look, and then I see the Spirit of Battle notes. Like, wait, what just happened? Striker rework and like a massive Spirit of Battle nerfs at the same time. Actually, like Christmas.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm glad that they put that, because dude, Siege has been a lot of. I know it doesn't matter as much in Siege, but Siege has been a lot of fun, and Spirit of Battle is not a lot of fun. Node Wars are occasionally fun, but the Spirit of Battle has just completely taken the wind out of the sails. It's like there were more people node warring because of the siege changes, but then like it slowly started just going away because people just don't want to fight with Spirit of Battle.
It's really not fun at all.
Yeah.
It's just like you just have a timer that doesn't depend on how well you're doing. It's just a timer based on them having the buff. Just every 5 minutes, you're gonna lose a percent of your base. So you're like, all right, guys, we got like we have to get their buff, lose 25%, and then make a game-changing play that will win us, or we'll lose. This is like, and you only have like 20 minutes to do it.
Yeah. Do you think, because this is gonna make it so, since it's gonna be on cooldown and you potentially will get the bar more than once during that cooldown, we're gonna see the resurrection buff popped a lot more often. Are you guys concerned at all about that buff?
No, it's a 1 hour cooldown, and I think the resurrection buff makes a lot of sense. It does, like, it is really weird, right? That Spirit of Battle was a 5-minute cooldown when CTG was a once per war. When Spirit of Battle is stronger than CTG by a lot. Like with how it is currently.
Yeah. I know it actually.
CTG is like a gimmick that sometimes wins you instantly, but 99% of the time it's just like you get a cool push from an angle that they didn't expect. That's most of the time what it is. But Spirit Battle is they guys run at them. They can't kill us for 30 seconds. It was literally a
button.
It was literally a perfect PA rotation and heals and SA on top of that for
yeah.
30 seconds. It was what people thought that 60 mage guilds were like.
Yep, pretty much.
Except without, you can never fail 1 PA on anyone.
Well, the thing is with the resurrection one is a lot of guilds just didn't even use it because the Spirit of Battle buff was so much stronger. But or the Blessing of Battle, whatever.
Yeah, now if you're losing, you'll have the chance to use it. Like,
yeah. You'll Blessing of Battle once. I forget the name of the two. I think Blessing of Battle once, and then you'll Spirit of Battle, or you'll use the Resurrection one probably once.
Yeah, but Spirit of Battle is the bar, I think, and then Blessing of Battle is the skill.
Yeah, Spirit of Battle is the bar. Yeah.
Right. So how do you feel, Divios, about the this new liberation system with the point system and the rewards?
I like it. I do like it, as like, I mean, I am saying it from like a guild that's probably always going to be like one of the top ones there, but
well, in theory, but it depends, right? Because if you guys are on Calpheon, if Cho Nation's on Calpheon and you're just in a 1v2 or whatever, yeah, you're going to be like super up there, especially if you end up surviving until the end. But if you somehow get zerged out, like you have zero chance. Yeah, you're out. Or like, I don't know. I guess it just depends, because kills aren't everything.
Yeah.
Right? They're only 1 point per kill and then 1 point per death.
I was just more thinking towards like the Medea siege we had the other week, where like, we had like, we had crazy kills. We were also just going base to base, and we like got them, but we couldn't kill like every base by ourselves. It's kind of, and then some other stuff happened later, but
right.
It was like, so like obviously like it's gonna be. I do think that people will rig it to, at some point, I bet, to where like if they want someone to win, right? Like if they're trying to hand it off to someone, or like give someone whatever, I'm sure like the top spot or something will be traded, but like the others, there's no way they're not gonna like just set up where like this is gonna be team 1, this is team 2, like all the way down. Like it's gonna just be the stronger guilds will get a bit more.
But I do love that it incentivizes you fighting till the end.
Showing up and playing the whole time. Yeah.
Do you think now? I've heard this complaint a lot ever since the new Siege changes, because people are enjoying Siege, but because there's so many guilds, they're all stalemating. Do you think 4 hours is too long?
Yeah.
It feels long. Like, it's really fun, but there comes a time, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having. After 3 hours, it's like, dude.
Yeah, like we had the fight on Medea was 2.5 hours because digital was in castle, and that was already getting, like, it was starting to get long. And I know like a lot of guilds were like leaving before then because they were just like, whatever, they were not going to be able to kill them, kind of thing. We're just going to give up and leave. And that was only at 2.5 hours. If it went to like like there's just a point where you kind of know what's happening in the fight, and unless something crazy happens, things
Right.
won't if people aren't stalemating at like 2.5 hours, or let's put it this way, if they are stalemating at 2.5 hours, there's a good chance they'll be stalemating at 4 hours. There's a very good chance. So like you're just at that point you're just fighting to fight, and yeah, it burns people out if they're just, especially if they're on the losing side of it, where it's just like they're one of the guilds that just has to run in and die to make it stalemate. So like you're literally clicking respawn and die, and then sitting there for a minute because it's over 2 hours in the fight. You're staying there for like a minute and a half dead, and just be like, okay.
Right. What? How do you feel, since you obviously have like a lot of gear? How do you feel about the capped sieges? Do you like them, or do you feel like it devalues the work that you put into getting your gear?
I like it. I think it's nice because it brings back a lot of people. I do think like it brings up, it shows like the power in certain classes even more, where like you can't compensate for it with like, so because like I'm just saying, being a striker with 320 DP and running into a group, it feels even worse. 'Cause
Yeah. Are you going to cap sieges on your striker or Sage?
I did Sage for the Media Siege,
Okay.
and I was reconnecting a lot, so it was kind of I did good, but I could have done better. But I Sage still feels very good there.
So you're
Sage.
okay with the cap, as long as there's an uncapped version, right? Like having Calpheon, having the choice.
What's that? Yeah, as long as everything isn't uncapped, I don't care.
Do you think people will do Calpheon more, or is there any incentive to go to Calpheon for most guilds?
Maybe if they see there's a fight elsewhere, like take it with like most of the big guilds, maybe they'll go there.
Yeah,
But
just for the reward.
we'll just try to like, I mean, like if like I say, like if a guild was like alone on Calpheon with like maybe one other person, and like they see like all the siege guilds went to Medea or Valencia or something, then they may be like, okay, well we're just gonna send all the T1 guilds to
Right.
Calpheon, and yeah, it's gonna be a bloodbath, but they're gonna win.
What are you hoping for the Balanos and Serendia sieges? 'Cause I know they
I'm
said
not
they're
really sure.
reworking those.
I'm not really sure what to expect of it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know.
Rose, what are you hoping for with the Balanos Serendia ones? Do you want
God
those to be
knows,
capped
dude.
or uncapped, or just a totally different game mode?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows what they're gonna do? I don't think they've even really like said much as to what they're gonna do. I don't know. I imagine they're gonna do one capped, one uncapped. I don't imagine they're
Make
really
them
gonna
like
change it
King
all
of the
that
Hill or
much.
something. You just need to hold down. Make it like, oh, what if they made it like, what's it called in Call of Duty? Is it Hardpoint or Control or something, where you like, there's like zones you have to hold down, and then like,
Right. Dude, that'd be
And
so
orders.
fun.
and there's like a scoreboard on the like for like, and the scoreboard's entirely based on just like holding it down.
Yeah,
That
I think
would be so fun.
headquarters. I want to say
And
it's
like,
called. Yeah.
Yes, I can't remember what it was. Something like that.
What do they call it? I think in Battlefield it's called Conquest, right?
Yes.
Where, dude,
yeah.
I those game
Or
modes
even
are
like
fun.
even like a game mode where you have like a certain amount of lives, and you're like, after that your guild's like out. Like it could be like, they could do a lot of like game modes with it, or it's like your bases don't matter. It's all about just like picking off people, getting kills, and like there's like objectives that help you. Maybe there's objectives that let you get like extra lives, or like stuff like that. Like it'd be like, there's a lot of things they could do. They're just that weren't just build a base and attack a base,
Yeah.
and still make it like a guild activity with that, while being more like objective and kind of cool.
Naval fights, dude.
Search and destroy BTO.
Yeah. All right. So Elvia, they're kind of changing a couple of things in Elvia. So Bloody and Orcamp are mostly staying the same. They're just gonna add. They said they added additional monsters in different areas, so that way there's more rotations to spread people out. That's their intention. I'm sure they accidentally buffed one of the spots, and it's gonna be even better. Swamp Fogan, they lowered the attack power and they decreased the defense of Swamp Fogans. Basically on all of these, they lowered the attack, defense, and or HP to make them easier, and they lowered the
Fogans were like
requirements.
tanky for no reason.
They were. They were. That's what I'm saying, dude. They're so tanky for no reason. But
Yeah, they really are.
They also made Castle Ruins, where you can run the event on the outside. So if there's a group on the inside, you can run.
That's thank God.
On the
That was
outside.
so annoying when the first couple of days when people didn't know how that place worked. It was just like you'd be grinding inside, and then someone would run in and just start doing their scroll.
Yeah.
It's like okay.
Alter Imp Habitat, they also just reduced the power and toughness, but they also increased the respawn rate. So their intention for that is that way you could just stay at one flag and not have to go from flag to flag because the respawns, which I think is really cool. And Broggy Den, for I want to say the 7th or 8th time, they are supposedly fixing the event there again.
I still have no idea how that event works.
Yeah, no one does. It's never worked. So they said that they changed the way the bounty value applies to individuals. The bounty value of Broggy Den has been changed to stack faster than before, and has been changed so that you can obtain a treasure key when you defeat Baragi. The key can be used to open a treasure chest in Broggy Den's underground warehouse. I mean,
that's cool.
That sounds awesome.
Cool.
If it ends up working. Right now, all the events is an orange message that pops up and yellow beams that spawn over and over again that mean nothing. That's all it is.
Sick.
So that's really cool because I think this will be nice to spread people out. My only concern with all these changes, because I do think some of these need to be changed. Like
I'm checking out the Red Orc spot. There's a lot more mobs than one of like the one right beside like the north node, like right beside like
what's that one called?
right on the orc camp node, like right there.
Brady Fortress. Or
no, just orc camp.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That area has a lot more mobs.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious how much more that's spread out, because like I feel like Bloody really only has 2 rotations, and then 1 if you want to just do elites.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awful. And then Orcs does have a lot of rotations, but some are way, way, way worse than others. Like it would be nice if all of them felt like 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think I do the one all the way south. I don't know what it's called. The one right above southern neutral zone.
I think that one's 12. I think that one's okay. There's a lot. I don't know. I would love like Fogans to actually be good. I kind of wish they buff Fogans more than just make him less tanky, because we don't have a good blue shard spot that's like you feel like you could just go there and farm. You know, like no one's farming the blue shard spots if they don't need blue shards, whereas the yellow ones you actually are.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, that would be cool. But my main concern with this is like if there's more people in Elvia, like Caphras prices are still going up. And
are they sold out yet?
They're not sold out. There's like 6,000 left on the marketplace right now.
So yeah, that's nothing.
7,000. 7,400 in stock currently.
Yeah, that's
concerning.
It was 300,000 a week ago. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing now.
So I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe they need to add dust to Imps and Baragi where the lower geared people are grinding, just to like, I don't know, something. It's weird. It's very odd. It's about to be rough, dude. On console, they're happily paying like 1.5 mil per Caphras stone right now.
I think their Caphras have always been really cheap. It's just because they can only go to C5.
Yeah,
and
but
C5 doesn't use much Caphras.
it's buffing to like C9 or C10 in October though.
You know, I mean that's still like, I mean on weapons it's a good amount, but on armors it's still only like 5,000 each. Like I don't think people realize how much Caphras like that. What's really doing it right now on PC is just all it takes. Like just think if 2 people are DR and 1 C20, that's 100,000 Caphras between the 2 people.
Yep.
Like, that's a lot of Caphras. Like once people start pushing past C9, like because C9's like full C9, right? It's like 20,000 Caphras.
Yep.
And of course, a lot more people have that, but then it's another 100,000 on top of that if you want C20s.
Yeah, and you kind of need these days. You need C20s. Everyone has so much AP now and so much accuracy. It's like if you don't have C20, like C9s
It's also
don't feel.
once they, once they said that Fallen God won't be like for a long time still, people are like, all right, finally, because that held people back for a long time. They're like, I'm not gonna worry about C20. I'm just gonna get C10 and then I'll leave it. People are running out of things to do, so they're like, fuck, I'm gonna go C20 now.
Yeah, I need one more piece. I need one more. They buffed Valencia trash at the lower end spots. Basically just the drop rate of the trash. The way they described it, it sounds like it's gonna be something kind of like trees. Where it says the drop rate of miscellaneous items, the loot can be obtained when killing in the area has been changed to 100%, which I think is kind of like trees. So now if you want to like boost the drop rate, like having a loot scroll doesn't really benefit you that much. You need like an advanced, I guess. I'm not too sure. So I'll have to see how that is. But that's at Basham, Fogans, Nagas, Kadri, Gahas, Crescent Shrine, Worgans, Centaur.
Like,
yeah, like all of the
so
non
everywhere except for Akhmanistria. Yeah.
Exactly. So that should kind of help a little bit with lower level people gearing up. Also, they made so seasonal Tavala is about to be a lot easier to enhance.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like way easier to enhance. The accessory pen success rate is changing on a 40 stack from 36 to 50%, and then for armor and weapons, getting to pen is changing from 21 to 35%.
Yeah, that's huge. The armor is like, the thing is, the armors were like kind of easy compared to the accessories, but like, yeah, the armor and weapons are gonna be very easy now. Like they're gonna be pretty free.
Yeah, and now you don't need to exchange weapons to repair. You can recover with the ore, Tuvala ore, so you don't have to sit there and do that annoying
That's nice.
exchange. And when you force enhance, it no longer takes 50 durability, it only takes 20.
Yeah, it's gonna be only. Those are all like nice. Like at this point though, like Tuvala gear is it's pretty like low. It's not. It shouldn't be hard to get.
Right. I wanted to ask you about that because this is like half the people feel one way, half feel another, and then there's some in between. But how do you feel about like them adding the crescent ring and making Tuvala easier? And now it looks like there's going to be a way to get a pen armor that might not be that difficult. Do you feel anyway that some of these catch-up mechanics invalidates like the work that you had to do originally, or do you think it's good for the game?
The only thing I disagree with, and it's only because I just think they need to give better, like they need to give something cool as a leveling reward, because getting a Tri Kaposha at level 65 or getting a Pen Kaposha at level 20 on a seasonal character is pretty dumb.
Yeah.
But I think overall, like I think changes like that are fine. Like the crescent one's good because it's not like it's a free crescent ring.
Right.
Like people say it like it's like, oh, it costs 0. No, it doesn't. It costs like 14 bill. It's like a cheap crescent ring, and it's one you can work towards to guarantee it.
Yep.
And I think that's cool. It's a good idea.
Yeah, my guess is the armor or the weapon armor, whatever the pen is going to be something kind of similar.
Yeah, unless it's just you. If it's you log in and you have it, it's pretty dumb. But if it's you work towards and you guarantee it for like much cheaper, I think that's good.
Yeah. What about the hammers? The J hammers that they've added in the past. How do you feel about the J hammers?
I like them just because it brings things that aren't normally available, like more available, like black stars.
Yeah.
that's the thing I like about them. It makes like things that people normally wouldn't click. It makes them everyone pretty much does an attempt on it, and way more of those appear. So that's the. But I don't think it's like a crazy good idea. I also got I'd never even have a black star if I didn't get one through a hammer.
You succeeded your hammer attempt?
Yeah. When we got the 2, I got it on. I was literally, my whole plan was I was gonna make a Tet Black Star, and then I was gonna tap it with like I had 2 stacks that both at like 120. I'm like I'm just gonna build up both these stacks, and then it's gonna eventually go Tet, and then whatever the other stack's at, I'll tap it for pen, and then I'll sell it and buy like my DP set back. and then it went, and it turns out I got like a C20 armor and everything back instead.
Yeah,
It
right.
was gross.
What stack did you hit it on?
173.
Oh my god, dude.
It was dumb.
Must be nice. I can't complain. I used the hammer on whaling Fallen God armor.
Yeah, that's why I used the newest one on.
But I kind of regretted it. I should have used it on an awakening weapon, but I was impatient. I was excited because I planned my thinking was like, look, I could use it on a Pen Black Star. It's probably not going to go. My chance of getting a Tri Fallen God is a lot higher. I was going to use it on that, and I ended up crawning Tri Fallen God once. I was going to try it, and then I was going to do 1 cron attempt and 2 hammer attempts, and the cron attempt went. And I was so hyped that I immediately just went for Tet with the with the hammers.
Yeah,
but I should have fucking just held on.
It's so awkward because I don't know where I'm ever gonna get the motivation to want to get Tet Fallen God. There is nothing cool about that upgrade.
Yeah,
it's just
you gotta catch up. Man. You're behind.
It doesn't change the icon. It gives you 3 sheet DPU and I'm already over every bracket. It
just makes you having only try makes you a gearlet compared to
true
biohack and multi and choice. Come on, man.
It's just like it's like I'm doing it whenever I get like free crons and whenever we get like hammers and stuff. I'm tapping it. I have a 250 stack. And I'm tapping it on, but like I'm just not. I'm not motivated at all to like go for it.
Look at it this way, Divios. Eventually, you can get Pen Fallen God, and then the icon will actually make sense.
Yeah, and actually at Pen it's cool because then it glows everywhere, and it's crazy, and you'd be also being no one else has it. I think everyone that gets Tet Fallen God has to do 1 pen attempt just to see if they're the one.
Yeah.
you gotta try once. Don't blow up all your money, but
0.03% chance.
Yeah, maybe you're the lucky one.
Yeah. The potion changes are coming next week. The pity potion, and I believe it's coming. Well, they haven't officially announced it's coming next week, but based on the way they release these things, definitely coming. Most likely coming next week. As well as the loot scroll change that lets you pause and swap to advance and stuff. Do you have any issue with the pity pot? Did you grind out the pots?
I did.
Do you have any issue with the pity pots?
Not really. I just think that I have no problems with like that. I just hated the mana pot, and I thought like that they finally made mana pot like worth having.
Yeah, the buff.
If you're on, it does like on classes that don't use like the blue resource, or in classes that did use the blue resource, it was just worse. So like, it's funny because most classes don't have mana problems, so that didn't really matter. The thing is, the classes that do have mana problems are all the classes that use the blue bar. So it was just they're the classes that would want it the most, and they couldn't even use it because it gives less mana.
Yeah, I don't know that mana pot change, the cooldown especially was like nice. It's so weird. Like on Global Labs right now, I got my striker. I just use mana pots. Like you could just use any pots now. They just made them all like universal.
Yeah, it's weird. They should have definitely just removed the other ones. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. They said I don't know for sure, but it looks like the pot pieces drop from multiple mobs, not just the pot mobs that drop it. The pity pieces, and they also, someone described the drop rate to me as the same drop rate as leaves from Ash Forest if you're grinding fairly efficiently at Ash Forest.
It's pretty good.
So I don't know how long does it take to get 100 leaves at Ash Forest?
Probably like 30, 40 hours.
30 to 40
You get
hours.
two or 3 an hour.
Yeah, so then it would
maybe a bit more, maybe 3 to. Yeah, I'd say more like 2.5 to like 3.5. That's like where I'd put it.
Yeah, so then that would put the pot, depending on your grind speed, anywhere from like 90 to 120 hours to finish it.
If you don't get a drop, straight drop.
If you don't get a drop, right? How long did
yours
take?
That's like the max. Mine took 55 hours with castle every buff in the game, and I did it by Saturday because I did like. I did 18 hours, and I slept for 3 hours, and I did 21 hours, and then I slept for like 5 hours. And then I finished it off and did Siege.
Wait, that was like this weekend?
No, I know when it came out.
Oh, okay, when it first came out. Okay.
Yeah, when it first came out, I remember I have a recording of like it's. I remember I was trying to record the last pop piece and I couldn't because my hard drive was full. Because apparently after I got my second pop piece, I recorded like 30 hours of me just running around circles of Rona Rose. I recorded my entire Rona Rose grind and I had it was like a 1.3 terabyte file of me grinding Rona Rose.
No one has said it yet, but I know everyone's thinking it. Did you shower in those 2 days?
Hell no.
No, he didn't shower. No,
there's no time for that.
There's no time for showers.
I had to.
Oh shit, dude. Makes
I wanted that pot so bad, the health pot.
Yeah.
The mana pot, I kind of chilled and I didn't go like super hard on it, but I went for it. That was like the next thing after it.
All right. Last prediction before we get to the comments. What class or classes are coming next week on Global Labs? Divios first.
Uh,
Now that Striker came out this week, it's literally just a complete random guess.
yeah, I was gonna say, I want to see Mystic and like Sork or something. I definitely don't want to see Zerker.
Reslar, which class or classes is coming out next week?
Let me think. So here's what I think. I feel like they're going to just be releasing them as they come out. So what's the easiest class to change? I feel like is the question. And I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and say either
Mage?
Sork. Either Sork. No, I think they're gonna be having an identity crisis with mages. I think either Sork or Archer. I think.
Sork or Archer?
Yep.
I just went for Mystic.
I feel like
they've already done Striker, and we know they're working on Mystic at least in some capacity.
since they did 2 classes the first week, I feel like I'm allowed to pick 2.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 I'm gonna pick.
So Sork and or Archer. Okay. We'll do that with Divios too here. Sork and or Archer. I'm gonna go Sork and or Zerk. I almost feel like it was like one of those or both of those was done or almost done, but just not. They were like a week off, so they were like, you know what? Let's just throw Striker. We finished Striker back in June. That's the thing is like I think they have already been working on these for a while. Like I mentioned this before, but it's like
it's not like it's brand new.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, dude, they're gonna do 1 class a week. Is that enough time to rework a class? And it's like, no, obviously not. But like we saw the Ranger rework begin back in
months ago, when they did the Huddle Ball.
Yeah.
And they already had a lot of those new animations. So it's like,
Yep.
Yeah, they've probably gotten a lot done on a lot of classes already.
Speaking of animation, I love dude. The down F is so cool looking. The backflip, it looks so good and the awakened
On
skill.
Yeah,
On
it
Striker,
looks so cool. That and the Land Buster or whatever, that skill looks cool. The charging up, like kind of the fire just looks so good on it. It looks pretty badass. Anyway, dude, Divios, thank you so much for joining us. That was really fun. I'm sad we didn't have 2 classes, so we couldn't have you and someone else kind of bounce your ideas back and forth. But yeah, Striker got the spotlight for once in its life, you know?
There's a time for every class.
There's a time for every class, dude.
As much as people would hate to hear that.
Dude, people are so mad. The reworks are so divisive. It's so crazy. Like in any other game I've ever played, whenever they do like a massive revamp of classes, people are so excited, and this one is just so negative.
Yeah, every class they buffed this week, you'll have the people that hate that class speaking up, and then when it's their class's turn, they'll be quiet, and then.
How many times have you heard that Striker is now just Musa with 2 grabs?
Yeah. I mean, people like my favorite thing is just like whenever Choice is on his Striker, he's going around Arsha fighting these people that are like 600 gear score, don't even move his HP bar. Like, wow, Striker is broken, takes no damage, and then he fights someone else and they just kill him. He's like, wow, that class that killed him is broken. It does way too much damage. What is that? how can you kill a striker with that much gear?
Yeah, it's crazy. So where can people find you at? What's your Twitch if you do ever stream, and what's your YouTube channel?
My Twitch is just Divios, and I actually don't know what even is my YouTube. I think it is just Divios as well. Yeah.
Alright. YouTube.com.
just
Let's see.
pretty
Let's
simple.
see if you lied. Nope. This page isn't available. Try searching for something
No,
else.
no. I think if you search it on YouTube itself.
Okay, just search the
Yeah,
word
you see-
Divios.
yeah.
Okay.
The
Yeah, that's
URL
what-
isn't Divios. The channel
Yeah.
name is Divios.
Yeah.
All right.
The URL is
There it
going to be
is.
like UW capital GX3.
Dude, how fun was that? Like, I forgot to ask you this. I asked by Septimus and Flannels, but like, ever since Pearl Abyss kind of took over, we've had 3 tournaments.
It's great.
I'm assuming you
love-
like them. Like, hopefully they
I
do
love-
more of those, right?
Mm.
Do you prefer
I-
1v1 or group tournaments?
I like either. I do think for the group ones, they should probably rework like when they do. It was kind of sad that we never got to do a 3v3. Like it never got it. All the fights were decided in the
In the
1v1s
2v2s?
and
Yeah,
2v2s.
yeah. Where would they move? You think that should be like the 1v1
I
should be
think-
last?
Yeah, I think 1v1 last would be so cool.
Yeah.
It'd be all the pressures on you. You're the last one standing. You're holding it down for your team. You clutch it out. I think that would be. It'd be really hype.
Yeah, that actually would be kind of cool. I like that idea.
I
Yeah.
also kind of like the idea of the last round has to result in a kill. Because it was kind of anticlimactic that the last 2 fights that Mac had, both of the fights, he just timed them out and won.
Dude, his fight against Flannels was so intense. Even
Yeah, like,
even though it resulted in the time thing, it was just like this
Yeah,
like anxiety that like, oh my god, who's gonna CC who? What's happening?
Mhm. It's just like it just sucks. Like when I saw the Nova get hit by a dot, and then Mac just goes into nightmare, and you see there's like 10 seconds left. He's like, he just lost.
Yeah.
So it's like there's nothing he can do about it.
Dude, last question. How busted is Suck Nova, dude? Suck
I mean,
Nova's crazy.
It's good. I think it's really good in like those like small mid scale fights. Like it's not very like the thing is it's a very easy target. Like it is like if like especially for like striker.
You're right.
Like,
Striker's specifically equipped to deal with Novas, I feel like.
Yeah, like Zerker and striker just having like Mystic as well, just having like a protected grab against them or even a range grab is just like it's so like good against them because they only have the one iframe. But like the amount of CC and crazy pressure they have just from and they don't even have to do anything for it. It's just like it's really crazy. I played Sucknova for like 2.5 months when it first came out, but it got most of the buffs like as I was swapping off it.
Yeah. Is that why you went first? Did you think that they were gonna put Reezy first?
We were hoping anything but flannels first.
Right.
We were trying because like we wanted me to go first because we didn't want because I'm like if I'm fighting the Zerker or the Nova, I was confident that I could lose to the Zerker, but I don't think I could. I think it would have take a miracle for me to lose to the Nova in that type of matchup.
Right.
But I do think it was just like if we didn't want to put me in against flannels, and we like flannels is the one we were worried more about winning. So like if I get someone out early, it's good, and then
right.
and then they'll pull flannels in, and I mean I won the round before by time, but it's not like I can't win against Ranger. It's just it's not favorable.
Rez, you have any last questions for him before we move to the comments?
I don't believe so. I did want to ask, and I meant to ask this at the beginning, but we just kind of moved through a little quick. Do you still play Smite?
I actually picked it up again like a couple of weeks ago, and I queued up ranked. I want to see how fast I could get to like the masters again. And I got it in like 40 games.
Oh, good lord!
But I've been playing it again a bit recently. I've always kind of like kept up with like the characters and kind of like just messing around playing every now and again. But
Right.
I hadn't really played in like any type of like other than just like messing around with characters. I haven't actually played until like recently.
Smite's busted.
Fair enough.
Like I said, you're welcome to stick around for the comments. They usually take about 15-20 minutes.
I'm down.
But if you want to bounce, it's up to YouTube. So here we go. Let's get in the comments. First comment from last week was Vesper BR says, first, dumb comment, but the iframe nerf on Ranger is okay. Range classes aren't supposed to be invincible when we get closer to them, and the iframe spamming is very bad for balance. Hope Sorks get the same treatment. Warrior needs some stamina cost in his movement kit, probably in forward F. How do you feel about the ES nerf, Divios, that Rangers got? It basically not.
I think it would have been better if ES had a different animation for like the unprotected one, so it was easier to actually see where they're not just doing the same thing. Because it's like you're not gonna like when you're fighting, unless it's 1v1, you're not gonna be counting. And like it was dumb when they're just holding it, and you're like, I don't know which one he's on. I'm just gonna throw out a CC, and it's random when you got him.
Yeah.
But if it was like, if it had like, I do think it would be okay if it had like a different animation. So you're like, oh, that's the one I could go for, and you know what, like you're kind of in the rhythm. You know which one's gonna be the unprotected one coming up, type of thing.
Do you also?
But
hope...
I do think nerfing it's good. I think I was surprised though that because I feel like the problem with Succession was its protection, not
right.
anything else, and then they kind of just removed the protection and gave it more damage. So, but I don't know. It's strange.
What about the do you also hope that Sork gets the same treatment? Like
it's not. It's impossible. It's no way. It's just,
there's no way,
Yeah,
right?
that would
because you have
just
to
change
think
its whole
like
class
it would
identity.
have to have like it would have to be so it would have to go so far with those dashes because that's the problem with Sork is like Sork's downsides, right, is Sork doesn't have a lot of, it can't really like do like a ton of damage apart from like it has a couple skills that do like most of its damage, right, and it's not very fast. So like if you could like, unless you're getting hit by a Dream of Doom in the back, you can kind of just run away from it and it can never catch you on most classes.
Right.
But yeah, I think its whole thing is it kind of stays in its little pocket and it baits people. I do think it's like it's not fun to play against, but I don't think it can be something you really change unless you like rework a ton of the class. And I don't see them really doing that.
Yeah, Rez, the warrior stamina cost. Does it need any, or you think it's fine?
And anyone that compares Sork iframes to Suck Sage when it came out iframes, they're crazy. Because Suck Sage literally would just teleport around the entire fight. And people are like, if Suck Sage can't have iframes, why can Sork? It's like, no, that's not the same thing at all.
I think you could probably, I don't know. I think you could probably put stamina cost on some stuff with Warrior, and it would be fine. It wouldn't really change.
Warrior
it all that
doesn't
much,
use
in all
any
honesty.
stamina. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to, but here's the thing. I'm wondering why exactly, because I wouldn't want to put so much stamina cost on it that it like actually cripples the class.
Right, for sure.
So I don't know. It just feels like why bother at that point, you know? I don't know. They're already built around like being limited around cooldowns more so than anything else.
The main thing is that they have almost no skills that like lock their stamina bar. Where Striker uses a similar stamina to Warrior, apart from Crouching Wolf. But Striker has like whenever I'm doing those lingers, unless I'm doing Rage Hammer, my stamina bar is locked. It's not going up. I'm not getting stamina back while I'm there. So like it's like my stamina goes down, but then unless I'm doing a specific skill or two, it's staying down. Where like Warrior is like it gets chunked down, but then it goes back up when they do a couple SAs, and then it goes a little bit down, all the way back up. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's the stamina pausing that really like keeps you down.
I don't know. I think it's probably fine how it is. Also, Frosty, refresh because I deleted those comments.
I deleted them already. Or when you report them, it hides them, so I don't have them there anyway. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, I realized that yesterday. I was like, oh wait, I could just do this instead of asking Rezlar. Ziba says Musa Mewa rework will be as good as Warriors Copium. Magnus says, I don't know if you know this, Nayaashi, but Choice is moving in. And then that confused, Nyashi. Magnus also said Andy has 4 grabs. Huh, I'm missing the context. The context of this is someone sent me a clip of Choice. Someone was asking Choice if he's going to start his podcast back up because of I guess he said he was going to restart it or he was considering restarting it in September or something. And then he said, I don't know. I was thinking about asking Frosty to be a permanent member on the value pack. But I don't know if he was kidding or not because I have no other context besides that. But it was funny. Anyway, Ringlora2 says 5-second cooldown iframe from Awaken Witch Wiz would be fine or split TP. Me and Resler have talked about this a lot. Divios, do you think it would be okay if they gave Awaken Wiz Witch split TP?
I think they'll get it. Yeah, I think they will.
Do you think that would be too strong, or you'd be fine with it?
I get it always goes back to like what game or like if we're in the current game and it got split TP, yeah, it'd be pretty dumb. But if everyone's 2 to 3 skilling, then it's not that dumb anymore. It's just hard to know where the power level of the game is with all these changes.
Yeah, I would like it on them. I think it would be cool on them. Like I don't know. I'm not a fan of classes not being able to defend themselves in 1v1. I actually hate it a lot. I don't know. You run into everyone always tells me 1v1 doesn't matter in this game, but if you node war at all or GVG at all or open world at all, you end up in 1v1s all the time.
I mean, on Suck Sage, I have no problems. The only time, the one thing I would agree with, and it's just because I don't really get attacked, but like if people grinding, like I think holding their spot on like a Suck Sage, it's really bad. Like, cause it's 1v1 is really bad, and that's like, and that's where the argument I see. But I don't know, like whenever I'm playing, it might just be because I'm invisible so often, but like I almost never get like people never go after me really in 1v1s. Like when I'm playing my Suck Sage. It's like they can, like I will lose to most people like doing that unless I like one shot them. But it's just, yeah.
I actually think
but no one really goes after me.
I think Suck Sage is slightly better than people think in 1v1, but it's still really bad.
Yeah, the only thing it just needs to be able to use its suction and get out of it. The problem is like right now that's like your trump card ability. You're like, this is the big CC, I'm gonna get it, and then if it fails, you lose because you just get CC'd after it.
How often do you use the Flow to Illusion expansion as a catch? The Shift F. The Flow to Shift F.
I use often. I throw it at them. Well, yeah, a lot of the time you'll catch them with the finishing touch or that.
Yeah, because I didn't realize until recently how far Shift F's flow goes when you aim it. Like you can like aim it kind of.
Yeah, it's like a fireball.
Far. Yeah, it's pretty far. Like that skill's actually hard to avoid. You just don't expect it.
The first hit of it is even crazier, in my opinion, because it's so fast. Like you can go into a ball, use the SA Rift, and not have the protection, and just pop it and go back into a Rift or go into, and like that is very safe most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just unless you're already slowed.
Monarch Gaming says, on meta gearing for characters, I feel like everyone should just be saving silver right now, selling stuff you don't need, and waiting for these reworks to come out. After those evasion accuracy changes for Warrior, I'd say we literally have no idea where the meta will be in 3 months. Get your PvE gear to your favorite Elvia grind level, and just chill. And he puts a gear score, but for some reason, like at first glance, the gear score he put in parentheses reminds me of a phone number. I thought it looks like a 1-800 number. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Like, if you're kind of if you were thinking about swapping from DR to evasion or from evasion to DR, I'd probably wait to see where this turns out first before committing to that change, for sure. Lost Soul says, adding PvP Arena are good, but how will they balance it, like money-wise? Should you be able to make 300 mil an hour, and if I win everything, or just get RBF money and medals? Would be nice if the rework RBF medals so you can trade them for silver and other stuff. What are your thoughts on this? If they were to add arenas, Divios, what should the award or rewards be for running them?
I think it should be solid silver. It shouldn't be, I mean, some people say it should be as good. I think even if it doesn't need to be as good, even if it was just solid, like 300 mil as like an endgame player, that's like it's not good, but it's not bad. Like it's like you're getting something. You're not like getting nothing. But I think
Yeah.
the main thing I'd like is just having like special like things that other people don't have, like special like cosmetics and stuff like that. Those are always like my favorite things. Like all I wanted ever for like the longest time was like an Arsha skin. Like even though the Arsha skin for Striker, it only fits certain costumes very well. It's just like something I always wanted because it's just so few. There's so few out there, and just things like that. I think are really cool in the games in general.
Yeah.
Just like having like there's like he's that guy. Like you like he's the guy that has that. That's sick. It was always really cool to me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I mean, a couple hundred to somewhere between like 200 and 300 mil an hour. Because the thing is you can get. So when you grind, it does feel like a chore after a while, right? Like even I actually enjoy grinding. Like I don't hate it like everyone else does, but by hour 4 or 5, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Whereas, dude, you can get stuck doing arenas all day. Like, dude, if I do arenas, let's say I'm like queuing up for 2v2 or 3v3 arenas at 250 mil an hour, like it's really easy for 8 hours to pass by, and you just made over a bill.
Oh yeah, you're like, hey, I made the bill and I worked towards like some cool stuff in the future. Yeah.
I've been doing RBF this whole podcast, and I don't even have fun in here.
You've almost made 90 mil too, dude. Look at you.
Yeah. RBF does feel like a chore sometimes.
Yeah, it really does. Back Bay Sailor says, hi Nyashi, I hope you're enjoying the holidays. I don't know why that's funny to me. He's Nyashi, for context, is taking a break from BDO. He's waiting for New World, and he wants to see what the reworks are.
Yeah, he's waiting for the reworks to see whether he wants to continue playing or not, essentially.
Svarner Turn says, Flannels is one of the easiest BA rats to trigger funny stuff. Negative karma deaths are why balance matters in BDO. It's the only place where you actually lose something if you die, so getting class checked feels bad. That being said, I like class counters. I like classes doing something good and being meh in other areas. I don't think we should all be great in 1v1 small scale and large scale. See, this is always where I like differ from apparently a lot of people's opinions, because I see this a lot. I don't think classes should be bad in any of those 3 areas, but bad at parts of those 3 areas. So like in large scale, if you're like a ninja, you can be not good with the ball, but you're still good in flex, and that same ninja should still be pretty good in 1v1 and should still be good at grinding. Like, yeah, maybe not every class should be good at like, like back in Suck Wizard days where it started becoming, yeah, they're the best class in flex and the best class in ball and the best class at defending and the best class at sieging, but I do think you should be good at least somewhat good at every aspect of the game.
I don't like, it depends, like, yeah, it's like a balance. I don't think classes should just be absolutely unplayable in anything.
Right.
But I can't imagine a world where they'd have to buff Suck Sage enough to be a good 1v1 class.
Dude, but that's so easy. I feel like that one's so easy, because if you could cancel out a shift Q, and they just gave that weird, remember that weird like week 1 protected Rabomb? Like, imagine these 3 changes. All right, so the
problem with that Rabomb is you have to be like touching someone to
but if that became protected again, it was a protected stun, and then shift Q you could cancel out of instantly after the stiff attempt, and then they removed the collision on Rift Chain. Like that class would be really good in 1v1, and it wouldn't really change its power level much in large scale, which I think would be fine.
The collision would help it, because it is really weird colliding with your teammates. Sometimes you die from that. But
especially when their demo of Rift Chain was that it doesn't have collision. That was like their whole thing with the demo.
Well, it doesn't have collision on the normal one, but when it's on cooldown, it does. Yeah.
But they can definitely
even when it was iframe, it was iframe with collision before.
Yeah, when
it was really strange.
Anyway, I don't know. Like, I just think they should at least attempt to make a class be able to defend itself.
It's just bias for me, because like when I'm playing my Suck Sage, or whenever I play my Suck Sage, I'm like, why would I ever play Striker right now? Like whenever it's like it like it puts my striker like down so much whenever I play it, because I'm just like, wow, there's so many things I can't do unless it's 1v1, and just like I'd be upset if like the Sage could also fight me 1v1 while being that much better in group.
Yeah, I mean, if it was like ninja level, maybe it'd be an issue,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's the thing. It's where it's kind of like a balance. Like holding your own, being able to like win a fight
right.
is one thing, but like
That's all I mean.
just being just like a free kill and just like is different. Yeah.
Toyoshi says a wall of text coming up here. I don't really know why someone said that they are afraid that DK is one of the classes that might come out too strong after class rework. I mained 660 gear score hash, and I previously mained DK in 2019 and Sork in 2020. I'm all for fair PvP, and I have to say that to me, DK is easily one of the most abusable classes in the game. All they can do is fishing for CC and SA trade and going one-dimensional human damage glass cannon build in large scale. If I had to fight someone and had to win, dueling DK would be one of the options I'd heavily consider. Is he saying dueling against DK or as a DK?
Dueling against, I believe.
Yeah, okay. Her mobility is fine, but nothing special. Her damage is decent, but certainly overestimated. That I disagree here. I'll explain.
I disagree with that.
Yeah. Multiple classes such as Tamer, Ninja, Nova, Sage, or Valk will blow you up just as fast or faster. Many of her skills are clunky, and she suffers a lot against very protected grab classes due to having only one iframe on Dusk, 2-second cooldown, and no grab to her name, let alone auto-losing against equally skilled gauntlets. Stop overrating that class. I've seen that several times. I have no idea who spread that rumor. She really needs a lot of help along with other outdated classes. I'm mainly talking about 1v1s here. Playing Hash or Sword compared to her is day and night difference. Honestly, peace out. So first, I would say you said yourself you haven't played since 2019. 2021 DK is very different than 2019 DK in a lot of ways, like a million ways. But one of the things is like even the comparisons that you gave. Sage, sure, multiple classes, Sage blow you up just as faster. Definitely agree. Nova, definitely agree. Valk, Ninja, and Tamer are weird because Valk, Ninja, and Tamer for the most part have to CC you and combo you individually, whereas like Dark Knight doesn't really need to CC you to blow you up.
Yeah, it chips you. Like I was actually gonna say like on like the two classes I'm most scared of when I'm playing Suck Sage is Ranger and DK, because they're like the two classes that can just like pop out a bunch of damage in Rift, and I can't really like. It's like one of the two classes I can't deal with.
Yeah,
they do a lot. Like their damage like it's really really high.
I also don't understand why you would describe her as only having Dusk as an iframe when she has her double, like the pre-awaken and Rabam airstrike, and like you could go into iframe with Nocturne and wait stuff out. Like that's not her only eye. It's like so disingenuous to say that. I don't know. It's like kind of odd. But yeah, she does poorly against gauntlet classes for sure. But outside of that, I don't know. She's pretty good. And she does poorly against like good warrior and good Valk as well, and Guardian, I guess. I don't know. Although Guardian is weird too, because like I watch Multiverse my friends and he just is killing them standing up. So that one is a weirder one too. I don't know. I don't think people are really overestimating her or overvaluing her that much. They're just like, she's definitely strong now. So yeah. Blood Diamond, and yeah, I'm sure she's going to be even more nuts after the reworks. Blood Diamond 78 says, SA Q block on Warrior has to go. No real reason why he needs it. He's fast as hell to where he looks like he's teleporting to you at times, does really good damage, no stamina problems, low cooldown grab. Please, can anyone tell me what is justifying him having SA Q block? I'm honestly interested in your guys' thoughts on that. Serious question. I don't know. Divios, justify the SAQ block on Warrior for me.
Well, a lot of their things are pretty like they don't have a lot of SAs. Like the class, I don't know if you were there right after the CC changes. Before they had Q cancel and a bunch of other buff skills, it was real bad for months actually. It was like 4 or 5 months after those CC changes. Now it's like they got a bunch more protections compared to then. It's still like it would still need a lot of changes to compensate for something like that. And people say like SA blocks wouldn't be a thing, but like those classes that have them, they would have they wouldn't be able to exist without it. To be honest, I think the only one that maybe is like an exception to that is Guardian, but that's just because Guardian is played so defensively already that they're not really getting hit in the back crazy often when they're not iframing. But like all the other ones, like I can't see a situation where they wouldn't have it.
I had a discussion with Kyreem about it, and one of the things that he was talking about that he wishes Warrior had is some sort of a, like, almost like a resource to manage with the block, so that it was something you had to think about instead of just like, okay, I'm going to be in my block and wait for all my cooldowns. Because one of the examples he gave of why the block can feel so oppressive is as a Musa, and this is true for a few classes that don't have a grab, is like you have to invest stamina, your normal resource, your cooldowns to try to pressure them out of their block while they just are recovering all of that. You know, like they just don't, it costs them nothing to hold the Q except for the block itself and potentially health. But they could at any time come out of the block. So he was saying that he wishes they had something that made it feel like you couldn't just sit in there forever. It was like for periods of time you're blocking with SA. Which is
I mean, they could make it to where like when you block, you get like your block has SA for 2 or 3 seconds, but I'd be so scared they do like it just gives you SA for 3 seconds and then call it a day. Just like yeah, I mean like that would make sense because that was one thing I played Guardian for a while and it's like the feeling of just being able to just press Q and just like waiting for the push to happen. I'm like, wow, I can just sit here. I don't have to like S block. I don't have to like go like rotate protections. I can just press Q and wait for the fight to happen.
That'd be hilarious. Like, yeah, we heard you. And now what happens when Warrior presses Q? They have SA for 3 seconds.
It's not
buff
but
on
after
their
those
bar.
3 seconds, yeah. You can't even grab them. Oh man.
Let's see. Queso says, he does the meme. If Flannels has 1 million fans, I'm one of them. Do I have to read the whole meme? I hate this meme.
No, you don't. No,
all right, sorry, Queso. Hydro159 says, I don't understand why Sage has a grab in his kit. Even if it was point blank, I still don't understand why he needs it. Nerf Awaken long grab already. That thing is just too much cancer. Also, do you think that Elvia, Orcs, and Castle Runes should drop some kind of rare drop, like a bundle of 10 to 20 red shards or seeds, so you can cheer those 2 spots feel a bit lackluster compared to others where anytime you can get a necklace?
I don't know about seeds because that would increase
10 to 20
the money.
seeds? Could you imagine a bundle of seeds?
Yeah, that would holy shit, the money. Oh my god. Shards though. I mean, maybe shards. I could see shards. I feel like shards wouldn't be a problem.
Shards is
I
kind of fun.
I don't think that would be a big deal.
I still feel like I hate how much better Orcs and Bloody are than everywhere else, though.
Yeah.
But the shard bundle would be nice.
Places like Fogan's and stuff too, you get out of there real quick.
Yeah. I also I can't really figure out why Awakened Sage has a grab. It's funny because like the short time I was playing Awakened Sage, every single block class I ran into, I could just kill all of them standing up. I never had to CC them. But plus you also have good CCs and a grab, and it's ranged.
I didn't care that much. Well, I know I used to think it made no sense. Their grab, at least, it's not lawn grab where it's not just it's not just completely free. They still have to like kind of looking at you.
Yeah.
But I think since the iframe nerf, it does feel like the matchups like it does have like matchups now where it's not just like iframing and you're guessing when you're CCing them.
Would it be the worst thing if that grab was purely melee though?
If it was melee, I think it'd be fine. I still do think range grabs are dumb. It's just it does feel like the class has like counterplay now where it didn't before.
All right, Big Swat says, I think stamina management doesn't make sense for Warrior at all. We have 1 iframe. Yeah, a lot of essays, but not like we have movement essay besides stationary ones. If we had stamina issues and had to manage stamina, then we'd lose so many fights and the class would auto drop to mid tier. I like that it would drop to mid tier. We have one iframe, and just like he said, our block breaks so fast. Everyone thinks the block is OP, but it drops so fast. Large scale aspect or high gear fight aspect. They only have one close quarter combat, so why would you not be able to go on forever? I think the argument is biased. Warrior only has a single target damage for the most part till this rework. Stamina management in the end doesn't belong on Warrior at all. Again, all its damage is unprotected. That part's not really true. People talk about Gravedigg and slashing, but those are so stationary, so easy to get grabbed out of those. Our iframe is 3-second cooldown. So for the most part, when it's on cooldown, it's easy to push and abuse the gaps in skills and get grabs off really easily. If they want to add stamina management rather than cooldown based, they need to add another iframe with all the speed on Warrior to just get dumbed down and only have one iframe for actually no damage protection. Then, like I said, the class would become mid-tier at that point. Well, I think when people are talking about stamina management, it's mostly referring to the reworked version, which definitely does have protected damage and big AoEs, and definitely is not single target. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say something about Warrior. I like as much as people like say like Warrior's really strong in like small scale, which it is. People like it is a lot more vulnerable than people think.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, when we were like playing the 3v3 tournament, we fought a lot of Warriors, and we sometimes we did trials, sometimes we did our seasonal characters prepping for the tournament. But every time there was a Warrior in the 3v3, he was always the target because he is not that hard to deal with. When you have like out of one, like 1v1, it's a lot different than 3v3. Let's put it that way. So like, and every time you add people, it gets easier to deal with him.
Yeah. And for the
So,
record, head chase is a 2-second cooldown, not 3-second.
Like his Warrior is very strong. Like, don't get me wrong, their engage is really, really fast. Their combo damage when they actually get a full combo is really good. Their normal damage is not that high, but they have a utility with slows. They do have the SA block. They have a lot of like team. They're really good at peeling. It's just that they are definitely more vulnerable than most classes, or like well, not most. They're less vulnerable than a lot of the classes people were playing for that tournament. That's the best way I'll put it.
Yeah, I guess I just don't like in his description. I agree. Like maybe I don't know. I think there should be some stamina. It doesn't need to be oppressively bad stamina management where it feels like you can't move, but just having to think about it and not being able to 100% freely move, I think is all people are really asking for. But also, I don't know. Is slashing really stationary? It doesn't feel stationary to me. But maybe I'm weird. Laxton 9003 says, I feel like PA will take a lot from BDO Mobile for the reworks, which is not bad. I looked at some of the classes over there and goddamn those animations and AoE are pog. Also, is it only me who thinks SA block should be removed in the game and make the block classes maybe have more tanky block instead, not suck Novas? That way, classes without a grab have a more fair chance in 1 versus 1. Nice podcast, as always, guys. Keep it up. Yeah, so we just talked about the SA block thing. If you just remove it, that's like a whole rework in and of itself that would have to take place. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm really curious what they're going to do to try to make some of these non-grab classes. I'm really curious what they're going to do. They haven't reworked a non-grab class except for Suck Ranger, and their damage is nuts and their range.
I do think that those blocks, I do think like having I think the block damage mechanic is good, but I think the block disable mechanic is bad.
Super bad. Yeah. I actually don't
unless
even...
because the thing I think if you made it 2 or 3 seconds, it'd be good because what it would do, it would chunk their block, and then if they're still sitting, if they drop it for 1 second, they're not going to regen most of that. But I do like the extra block damage that Corsair has because it does force you out of your block a lot earlier than you would normally.
Yeah, they my stance on the block mechanic is I honestly think it borderline can't really come to other classes. I mean, maybe just the break itself. There's no way the prevention can come. Dude, If
Yeah, no.
if a
the
bunch
block
of classes
damage would
have
be
it,
cool.
ugh.
It'd be your block would be gone forever. Yeah.
But on Corsair, like, I honestly think Corsair, like, I've mentioned this basically every week now, but Spiral Soak's block recovery prevention just shouldn't exist. Like, it's already on all the sword skills, and I think that that's okay because the sword skills basically require you to be melee, like full on point blank melee, and none of
Yeah,
the
well, it
just
just
sword
lasts
skills
too
are
long.
nukes.
Like it just yeah, it just lasts too long.
The
I
5
think.
seconds.
It lasts 15.
No. So the Spiral Soak one is 15. That one I just think shouldn't even exist because it's
Yeah.
like a
Yeah,
ranged ability. It's like it
yeah.
honestly hits so
yeah.
far.
The other
But-
ones are 5.
Yeah,
and
the
they're
other ones
like,
are 5.
The other ones are hurt, but they're not like, well, I'm not gonna have a block for the next entire fight. It's like, yeah, even 5 is like a long, depending on like what class you're. Like if you're, because if you're blocked, like, because it also does like 20% of your block as well as disable, like, and then the damage on
And then
top
the
of that.
damage, yeah.
So like, yeah, blocks, they can absolutely explode, and if you get hit by like that disable, it does mess you up. That's just I do think though for like the non-grab classes having more block damage for some of them, like I'm more thinking of like ones that do need the ones that can't just like trade with you and kill you. Like Sork doesn't really trade into you.
Right.
Like if like I think Sork having it would make more sense than some other classes.
The problem
Like
is
Suck
it
like
doesn't.
if Suck Ranger had it, it wouldn't be fair.
Does block damage on Sork change anything in the Striker matchup though?
Not in the Striker matchup. It changes their matchup with like, all the block classes though.
Well, even in
And
the
it-
Guardian matchup, it's more like super armor rotation a lot of the time. So it would be like Valk Warrior and then I guess like Suck Nova and Pre-Awaken Awake Nova. But I don't know. I don't know how much it like actually changed. Like I feel like Corsair has a bunch of block break stuff, and in 1v1 against most of the block classes, it's really not that good. Like maybe against an Awaken Valk and a Suck Nova, but outside of that, it's not very good against Warrior. It's not very good against Guardian. And I don't know. It's like a weird, like I don't even know if it really solves an issue more than it just is annoying in large scale for everybody.
Yeah.
But we'll
It
see.
does-
We'll see what they end up doing. Definitely not the block recovery though, at the very least. Like please God, don't
Yeah.
add that to more stuff. First name says, funny how Kamikaze says, after seeing Flannels for the first time in the best in class tournament and seeing how insanely he outplayed everyone, I really wanted to pick up Ranger again. But then I thought about the first time I saw Yellow playing Suck Ninja and thinking I could do that. And when I see Divios and thinking the same stupid thought. I do love how well Flannels and Biceptimus complement each other with their experience and insight. Super good guests. Hope you keep getting relevant guests for the next classes just after they come to Global Labs, because this was an awesome podcast. Loved it a bit extra since I saw Anfield rant for 1 to 2 hours about how bad Ranger got nerfed in the rework, and here comes the Ranger God drops truth bombs about how to utilize the class in the new kit. Much love from Norway. Stay frosty. That's funny.
They're dropping them truth bombs, my guy.
Them truth bombs, dude. First name says, funny how everyone seems to think that every other class is broken but the class they play is bad, since they only remember the times they've died to the other class and not the times the other class has died to them. Speaking of which, Tamer is bad, buff when. Tamer scares me in the reworks, I'm gonna be honest. That class scares me so much.
Yeah, that could very easily go wrong.
Queso81 says, so basically the truth is starting to show. Rangers obviously think they got nerfed because they still mostly shotgun queens and have bad teachers. LOL, maybe they start to learn how to play Awakening, the few that still exist. Sorry for blowing up your comments like usual. I'm just going to say it straight up. Ranger community has been divided for the longest. Too many arguments have been tossed around on how to play it right. I think it's been proven that Ranger can be played a better way, just not many understand how it is done and end up trying to ES spam all day. That is the wrong mentality, and I'm just glad I built a habit of saving my ES instead of relying on it. Good luck, Shotgun Queens. Sounds so offensive, Shotgun Queens, you know?
It does. It sounds like a slur almost.
It does. Yeah, they're just showing up to some small community in Texas calling everyone a Shotgun Queen, you know?
That's actually a high school pageant that we have down here in Texas, believe it or not.
Oh yeah, Shotgun Queens?
Yeah, shotgun queens.
Nice, dude. I Desing said Suck Valk reworks, and he has a little eyes. Awakening Musa reworks, even more eyes. Haha, Nyashi, Offentet user, haha. Alright, Nyashi graduated to a Black Star or Zarka. Alright, he doesn't use often anymore.
Also, we have an update from Nashi. He literally just typed this in the chat. He said, I hate car buying. I'm still fucking here.
Yeah.
For reference, he said he was going to buy a car at 10 a.m. That was over 8 hours ago.
Yeah, buying a car sucks, dude.
Holy
The process is terrible. Cody Shane says, it's your boy, 3.5k at Star's End. Great show. With how adamant PA was about making new class, do you think they put a new class on pause or developing them alongside the reworks? I don't think we're going to see a new class until the absolute very end of the year, if not next year. Personally. Do you guys think they're going to add a new class anytime soon?
No, they're definitely going to hold off on it.
I'm betting there'll be one right after all the reworks, and it's gonna be like, what is this, like, kind of thing.
It's gonna be cracked, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll keep coming out with them, but I don't think it's not gonna be until all of the reworks hit live, and then maybe like a month after that, I can see a teaser dropping.
Yeah, I could see something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that with how much other stuff they put on hold, I think they're definitely fully focused on reworks.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So that's all the comments. That's our comment section. Thank you guys so much for commenting. If you want to leave a comment on this episode and talk about anything Divios said or we said, or call us wrong, or tell Divios that Striker is absolutely busted and needs to be nerfed to the ground, feel free to do so in the comments. We always read them on the show. Divios, thank you so much again for coming on, man.
For sure.
Congratulations to your fourth tournament win, and hopefully they keep doing tournaments. But that was super fun to watch. I don't know. I really loved the 3v3 tournament. It was cool.
I like 2v2, 3v3, like that format. Like I like the idea. I like the ideas of a lot. I think they could do a couple format changes that would be really cool for it, but I think otherwise it's really good.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's also like if a class isn't super good at 1v1, it still can be really good in 3v3, 2v2 fights. But yeah, man, it was super fun having you. So thank you so much for coming on. Rezlar, you want to close us out?
Yeah, where can people find you again, Divios?
I got a couple just more mess around videos on YouTube. You just search Divios, and then Twitch is Divios, but I don't really stream. So
Also,
you'll see me in chat and Twitch chat.
Arsha Orcs Rotation 12. Good luck. You can find Divios there. Good luck.
All right, so links to that stuff will be in the description, so go check him out, even if he doesn't post much. Appreciate you coming on, man, giving us your time. Wish Nyashi was here. I would love. You said a lot of anti-Musa and Meiwa things, I feel like. I wish Nyashi would have been here to counter argument, but unfortunately, car buying is apparently a 9-hour process, so hopefully he'll be back next week. Thank you everybody so much for listening, hanging out, having a good time, hopefully. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a comment, like all that stuff. Shout out to the patrons. Thank you very much. What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing because stupid Hunter said Divios is better at explaining stuff than I am, and then Amertat pinged him and said also he doesn't extract Kaffers out of his gear like you. poor Hunter.
No.
Hunter had a moment of weakness, alright?
Poor Hunter, dude.
Oh no. Alright, we'll see y'all next week. Have a good one.